Going. OBS has been a little funky today. There it goes. How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses with your favorite show hosts. I don't see anything on the live stream preview.
It's probably not working then.
Does
Please,
the
please hold. May be experiencing slight technical difficulties. Cool.
are we live or not? I don't really understand.
I
don't know.
We don't know. I am going to open up my personal browser here. It says we are on OBS, but the YouTube preview says nothing. Just a blank screen. There it goes. Okay, now it's behaving. Just has a really long delay on it for some reason. Okay, that fixed it. Okay,
Good reasons.
you were going to hear
Are we live now, or we always were live?
We appear to have been live the whole time, but just to be extra sure, you will hear a slight echo, folks. Just a blank screen. There it goes. Okay, now it's behaving. Okay, there we go. Yes, we are live. Welcome to another episode of No Excuses with your favorite show host, Aristill.
Fenarian?
And for Sal, then we're here to bring you the latest news and games commentary for the week that was. Although, honestly, I don't know if it's just my impression or whether I've just lost interest or what, but it feels more or less like there just isn't games news these days. Like, that almost feels like a thing of the past in some ways.
Well, it's
It's basically the all of the major companies that used to move the industry one way or another appear to just be sinking into irrelevance.
not only that, but when they do come out with news, it's like, oh, it's a remake or a remaster or a sequel. It's like, okay, cool. The occasional sequel is okay, but remakes and remasters, okay. We've already played this though. We already know what this is like. We already have history with the old thing because we're all old.
Yeah.
You can't excite us with this.
When something new and interesting comes out, like Metaphor Ray Fantasio, I really want to play that game. I'm not paying that much for it though.
Yeah, they're crazy if they want that price.
At that price, with the sort of miserable localization that I've seen from it, like, I'm not really.
Yeah, I've seen mixed reports on the localization.
I
you usually do on that front.
The thing is that there's lots of people who get needlessly upset about things, but there are even more people who will just defend anything, and who think that it is perfectly virtuous to lie in order to do so. So I basically don't really want to play games in English if I can help it. Like,
in typical fashion, the art lies in sifting through all of that and kind of making your own opinion.
I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I know that the for instance, the localizations on Hoyo games is terrible, but I also know that the Japanese translation follows the original rather than the European ones all follow the English. So, although I don't really know Japanese, I know enough Japanese phrases to get to read the true vector of any given sentence rather than the spin that has been put on it by the localizers. So I can get by that way, but I don't like not having that point of reference. And it became most obvious to me when I played Berseria, just how much license they were taking, because the way the story is told, the way the writing is done in Berseria is very open and exaggerated in a lot of ways, and no matter what language you play it in. But what that means is that it is very easy to pick up if you're listening to the Japanese voice track when the subtitles are being dishonest about what's actually being said. And it was just really egregious in that game. And then that made me pay more attention to it in other games, and it became obvious that this is actually the norm now, that the localization is really, really far away from the original in a lot of cases.
Yeah, and sometimes you do need to take license to have things make sense, but you still also have to stay true to the kind of the spirit of what's being said. There's a lot of that not happening.
Well, that's because the localization industry is glutted with failed writers. Who actually think it's their job to put their spin on it.
I need to find it again. I need to find the old Xseed Excel document, because Vol sent me a spreadsheet of change dialogue from the Sky games.
It wasn't a spreadsheet; it was a meme.
Well, yeah, well, not the spread. Yeah, I said spreadsheet because I was thinking of the Excel spreadsheet where the original commentary comes from. But I need to find it again because they go into detail explaining where their decisions for things in that one, and often through arguments with each other in the spreadsheet.
The thing is that
Mhm.
I see those types of explanations all the time, and some of them very obviously don't hold water. Like you can tell when somebody is just trying to gloss over the fact that they took a liberty, as opposed to they thought that this was the right translation. Like most of the time, there's not like a concrete pragmatic reason behind changes that are made. There's just a taste reason.
There's the most obvious one that does not come from the spreadsheet itself, but I did remember reading something about it afterwards. Estelle has a phrase that is a very stock phrase, taken in isolation of like what, where she's trying to process something that happened, and she says it
Yep.
so much in the game it becomes basically her catchphrase. And the localization, the head girl for the XC doing the XC localization was like, "Yeah, we just screwed that up. We totally missed this. We didn't know this would be a recurring thing. We just thought it was an exasperated expression."
Yeah, and that sort of things can happen.
But
That's understandable. That
the
one.
point is the type of enthusiasm for getting that you put towards that type of localization effort doesn't exist in these days, and they still take quite a few quite a few liberties in the Trails games. Like they do take them,
Well,
Yeah.
but they
the
cared.
thing is that there's two sort of competing ideologies at work here. One of them is the ideology where the localizer should disappear into the background and only the writer's intent should be visible. And then there's the modern one where the localizer views themselves as a party to the writing process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, we beat this horse a lot,
I
and
know.
we got bigger topics on this week too. So let's not spend too much time on it. I know
Yeah.
I'm the one that got us off in the weeds there, but
Well, no, it was really my fault because that was what I was complaining about as far as Refantasio is concerned, because it's basically the entire discourse surrounding that game has been, is the localization a mess or not? And there's a lot of stuff that's been put in there that I think is actually some nice little takes on how you could express something in a sort of like dynamic translation that makes sense in English, and other times where they've just changed things because they don't like the way a character's portrayed.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I've seen like a lot of good takes and a lot of bad takes on both sides. So it's without actually playing the game, I really just can't make an opinion at this point.
It's going to be an issue that's going to be pervasive until an earthquake eventually swallows California, basically, or until the industry shifts to a different location in the Western world as it's
Cough, cough. More like AI cough.
Yeah. Though AI
Which is another
translations aren't
thing
perfect
that
either.
AI use in the industry is going to be another thing that's likely to come up later.
Yeah,
Oh no.
we'll talk about that quite a bit when it comes to Genshin's latest patch. Vol, do you want to just do all of Genshin 5.1 together at the after the week section? I think that'll be easiest.
Yeah.
That might be easy, yeah.
So as far as what I have to talk about, mainly what I intended to cover was to leave sort of like the nuts and bolts of 5.1 to you, because I had no idea how much I would get done this week. I managed to get a good chunk of it done last night. Late last night, like 4 a.m. last night.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really prepared for that. What I did prepare was to talk about whatchamacallit, 2.6 in Honkai.
Okay, so
I'll
I'll
talk
let you
about
handle
that
that because I
instead.
haven't.
Do you want that to be in a news segment or in my week segment though?
My week segment is going to basically just be 5.2. So if you want to make your week segment the 2.6 live stream and your plans for 2.6, you can do that if that's all you got. If you got other stuff, we can.
I don't really have much other stuff. Blue Archive did launch a bunch of stuff this week, but I haven't had time to play it because there's been so much stuff for me to get through.
All right. So okay, so we'll do that then. My week is not very much other than 5.2 in Genshin because it's still tax week.
Yeah.
Texas.
The pile
Texas.
keeps getting bigger.
Yep.
I think
In the meantime, in Genshin, we could probably just go and farm some materials.
what do you need?
Let me see. I need to level up Kanich, who needs Fat
Ye-
Squirrel.
Fat squirrel and teeth.
Fat Squirrel and Teeth. Teeth are easy to get, but Fat Squirrel is
You
kind
will-
of annoying.
The teeth are one of the items that's
They require you to commit a war crime.
yeah
Yes. Yeah.
we can go
Uh,
kill the fat Yom Kasor.
Yep. Also, Pyro Regisvine for Bennett and Zhang Ling.
Right, let's go.
And the Oceanid for Barbara.
We can
So yeah, that's kind of where my team is settled at the moment. It's Kanich at the lead, 2 off-field Pyro, which is Bennett and Zhang Ling.
okay, Fern.
And
The
Barbara's a
Bennett Shangling combo, you mean the eternal combo that has never left the meta since the launch of the game.
Yeah,
yeah, you know, that one.
the one that I have half of built right now because you definitely can't live without Shangling because if you're doing anything that revolves around Pyro, and you really probably shouldn't live without Bennett because a healer with that much attack steroid that's also a Pyro that gives you the Pyro resonance is just too dang good.
And both of them just so good at consistent off-field application of Pyro.
Well, Bennett less so about the application. That's more Shangling's job.
Less so, but his ultimate kind of makes up for it.
Well, his ultimate is a heal with a crack damage steroid on it. He is the reason Circle Impact is a meme.
Yeah. Which Kanich kind of actually takes literally by doing circles.
Yeah, I'll get off the teleport point, but I'm hanging out in front of the squirrel.
Alright, we'll come straight in.
Also,
character who's
Fern,
suitable for this activity.
I was about to say if we really wanted to be stupid, Fern could swap out his Kanich for any of the swirlable elements, and we can double Zalone in it.
Who have I got for swirl? Let's see. Probably Sucrose.
No, not an Animo. Any of the geo-reactable elements other than Geo.
Okay.
Yeah, Dendro and Geo won't work for the last slot if we want Zalonin to be able to heal.
Let's see.
It can be another Pyro if you want.
I might just stick with Bennett.
Because
the other option would be.
Oh no, what I mean is the party composition has to be for both me and Valdi Zhangling. You have to pick 2 characters, and they cannot include a Dendro or a Geo.
Right.
Because it's based on party makeup.
In that case, let's do the Eternal combo then.
No, does that work with 2 that are the same?
Yep, I tested it today and it did.
Okay.
Oh, this is going to be stupid, isn't it?
Yes.
Well, I mean, I do 3-figure damage normally. The question is, what will it do to your damage?
This squirrel is going to die.
Yep, while we're at the squirrel.
I'm trying to find list where.
Yeah. So
Earn your week.
I guess jump into weeks then. My week has been not a whole lot. It was another drunk cowboy weekend, but this is only a small one, so it doesn't really count. But yeah, it's kind of how the things go. It's all horse races, which nobody actually goes to watch horses race. So yeah, the town was full of cowboys in dresses for reasons. Anywho, so as far as nerdery this week is I played a bit of Genshin and just kind of started building up my team, pushed into world level 4. And things notably take a lot longer to kill now.
Well, your characters aren't even max level for the world level you're at, so...
So by the time I get that fixed out...
Yeah, getting that fixed will help considerably.
Yeah. So it's been having fun, although... Going through Inazuma and... Yeah, that squirrel just died.
Cross healing much?
Yeah. Oh, I don't want to open this thing.
You don't?
No, because I get more at my world level if I open something like that.
Ah, right, of course. Hang on. Not sure. Do I actually need for another ascension? I also need to run around Natland and get claw succulents.
Yeah, you can track those now, by the way.
Yes, I noticed that, and that is such a good thing to have. I just basically need to take Kanichi and do a whole run around Natland to get succulents and claws, but I do still need a few more bits and pieces from
You-
Fat Squirrel.
So you still need some fat Yumkasaur, or whatever those are.
Yeah,
Overripe Flamagranates.
Yep, I think I need a couple more of those. Hang on, let me tell you exactly what I need. And then go back into character. And this has basically been my week, is kind of chipping through, well, as far as Genshin goes anyway, it's been chipping through, figuring out what I need to upgrade my characters and start building them up. Because once you hit that level, world level 4, you kind of start to need to actually have built your characters a bit. Let's see. I need 6 more Flamagranates and 3 more Emerald Chunks.
We need to teleport further away from one.
We do.
And you get, I think at this world level, you get 1 to 2 per kill.
I get 0. I got 0 on that one.
That
But
should.
I got the small ones, so I can always craft them.
Oh, you mean the elemental crystals?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Is he back?
I don't know if Falls Statue of the Seven is too close. It is.
Oh.
Really?
It was
I'm
too
sure
close.
I used this one when I was farming it myself.
Echoes one.
Maybe I didn't.
Yeah. So yeah, Inazuma has been, yeah, it's kind of just there.
Yeah.
It's gonna stay kind of throughout most of it.
Yeah, it's not bad, but it's not really good.
Wait till you get to Radiation Island.
Yeah, I'm still on the first island because I just haven't really pushed too far on it.
Yeah.
But basically, been running around and grinding and
Oh no.
yeah, having a good time with Genshin.
Well,
You fell? How dare you?
a plunging attack too soon.
So yeah, besides that, I finally got in and finished the MSQ for Final Fantasy.
My condolences.
Yeah. I think with time, I've kind of mellowed on it a bit. And at this point, I'm not mad. I'm just very disappointed.
Disappointment is appropriate.
Yeah. Honestly, they should have split that into 2 expansions.
Well,
Or at the very least, main game and post game.
I think they just need to get a new writer.
I think that saying that you could solve the problem by splitting it into 2 expansions would be dramatically underselling the problem.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
problem is the writing
That
of
would
the
be
whole
step
expansion.
1. So yeah, the thing is though, is you go through it and there is a lot of good ideas in there, but they're just either ignored or poorly touched on. So yeah, but that said, going through that last zone's visually interesting, but there's really not a whole lot there. But you go through, you kind of turn all the machines off, you kill everyone, possibly, depending on your definition of kill, and then yeah, you fight Sphene.
Yeah, and what makes the statement you made, you kill everyone, depending on your definition of kill. To me, a lot of that has to do with how the people in the universe view death, how I'll treat that, and how I'll emotionally react to that.
Mm-hmm.
And they are so inconsistent in their way of how important are these memories actually.
Yes.
Well, the thing is that that whole question has to be addressed when placed atop a massive plot hole. So there being no foundation to it causes the whole thing to be, at best, it would be undermined. Like, there is literally no way to execute it correctly because the foundation is so bad.
Yeah.
There
they
is
needed
no
to spend a
explanation.
good amount of time on it. And they just
There's
didn't.
literally no explanation for how you could sustain a society where people lose critical memories constantly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is just such an obvious problem, a toddler could see it.
So yeah, it's like, yeah, I can kind of see what you were wanting to do, but you could have done it so much better. And then to top it all off, you get the fight against Sveen, or was it Queen something or other? I forget entirely what it was actually called.
Queen Speen.
And the fight's good. The fight was fun.
Yeah.
Although I did zone into the instance, and half the group just immediately left because they can't deal with Royal Decree. I don't know what the fuss was, because I didn't have any trouble with Royal Decree.
I don't remember anything being difficult in that fight
Yeah,
whatsoever.
I remember the entire thing being sight readable, and the only thing I died because I wasn't paying attention.
I mean, it's got some interesting looking mechanics, but it is the simplest capstone fight of any expansion.
It is very simple, but it is very visually interesting.
For like half the
And
mechanics,
then-
look at the floor.
Like
Look
the
at the
Arbiter
floor.
was much harder fight.
The Arbiter kicked me around a bit, actually. Yeah.
There's a way,
actually, the
way
fight-
more sort of like IQ puzzle type thinking is required for that one. Transposing the stored positions in your head and that sort of thing. Like, there's a vastly harder fight.
But then you get to
Keep
Speen
track of
in
in that fight.
Yeah, and then you get to Speen, and the closest equivalent to that mechanic is preschool tier fit the shape in the hole.
Yeah, I only died on that fight because I got my positioning wrong for the knockback, and I kind of balanced on the edge and then toppled off.
I was not paying attention to the elevated axes on the fit the square in the hole preschool level puzzle, and so
so you got the wall?
Yeah, I got walled off, but that was me not paying attention, not the mechanic being unsight readable or too unreasonable.
And then Wuk LMAO turns up. Everybody in chat screams spleen, and the fight's basically over at that point.
Speen, she comes in and KS's you. Good Counter-Strike player, apparently.
To quote the guide, which was MTQ, she RP's the boss to death.
Why did I use my ultimate while I'm burning my
it's
stuff?
like, it's done. And then, to cap it all off, you get to listen to the song Smile.
Smile.
I've actually felt kind of insulted I got the orchestrion role for that, and I very much considered it just throwing it away.
I wonder how much that goes for. I wonder, even though it's probably a really rare orchestrion.
It doesn't, because you can't set a negative value in the auction house.
Yeah, I wonder, the song is just so bad. Only collectors would want it. It has no value, like, some people want the raid songs from the expansion. The raid songs are mostly bangers. Or at least catchy.
The raid songs are really good. Yeah.
But nobody
Even
wants
all the
Smile.
dungeon ones are. Thing is like, you take the bass music and the background singers, and it's like, okay, Sokken's just kind of phoned this one in. And then you add the main singer, and
Yeah,
just
so
how?
So there's a track he made for Final Fantasy 16 that he made around the same time that Smile happened. I cannot play it on the show because of copyright. However, it is one of his best compositions that doesn't involve lyrics, and I'm going to dump it in live show chat so later you can use it as a palate cleanser.
Does it have spoilers in it?
No, it's just it's Leviathan's theme.
Nice.
So it's from the DLC.
All right, I've got enough materials for Kniech.
Okay, so
Well, at least of those anyway.
do you have enough Dendro things? Because Vol's already plunking.
I've got enough lesser ones there to craft them.
Okay, I will assist Vol in his plunking. We can pivot to you said
It's not like I'm in any danger. The healing is real.
The healing is very, very real. So yeah, I'm glad it's done. Like, there's bits and pieces again of the story that are good or actually interesting, but again, not explored. Erinville's finale for his story with his mum, I think, could have probably been done a little bit better.
It was been done infinitely better. It was atrocious.
When you, the Warrior of Light, are the third wheel on this little scenario they've written, something's wrong with the writing to begin with.
Along.
And the stupid flying capybaras.
What was that? It's like, okay, we're gonna on a scenic ride. Why the flying capybaras?
All right, let's get the pain out of the way. Let's go do.
Ocean Ed. Yeah, okay.
As soon as you said pain, I immediately thought of those two sharks.
No.
I hate that
Where's
fight
it?
so much.
Yeah. So yeah, thankfully that's done. There's a few lines at the end there, which I think means Aaronville's probably going to breadcrumb into whatever the Beastmaster quest is.
Yeah,
Maybe.
He's telegraphed the hardest as being the rep for it, but we don't know yet.
It'd be nice if he actually ends up joining us in the dungeons as another character. That'd be cool. Especially having an NPC as a limited job, just for something a little different.
Talk to you.
But it's kind of implied that Wuk LMAO is now going to stay in where she is, but
yeah,
I won't believe it till I see it.
They have almost certainly already had her written and recorded for 7.1 and 7.2. 7.3 will be the make or break point for whether or not they've recorded.
Yeah, I got to talk to the huddle. Yeah. So next thing I do when I log on, I've got to go in. I've got to finish up the last flight thingies to go and do that, and then I can dive into the tower of 4080s. Because why does that tower look like it's made of graphics cards?
Because it's made of graphics cards.
It is made of graphics cards.
I love how we're double immortal with Salonen.
I don't know if it applies to stacks. It probably doesn't stack, but it hardly
Chickens.
matters with the amount of cross healing we're going to be doing. Which is good considering how much damage you take in this fight.
Yeah, I soloed it earlier this week on the same world tier, and it took me a while. There was a lot of Barbara fix it.
Yeah, it's the exploding bubbles that's the problem.
Yeah, they hurt. And again, because I'm in ankle deep water, burn mechanics don't work so good.
Oh,
so I couldn't just blow her up.
Fire is actually really useful here because you will automatically vaporize all the enemies, and vaporize is a really, really powerful reaction.
Yeah, but my team is built around burn.
All right, yeah.
That's kind of how can each do.
Is it burn or burgeon that he uses?
Both, but you can use burgeon, but burn is more efficient.
Skate park.
Piggies. Well, those just died.
Yeah, for these you won't. This fight was obviously made before Dendro existed, and this is the worst boss fight from the base game.
Yeah, it is.
Everybody resented having to do Oceanid.
Everybody had a Barbara.
Because Barbara.
There we go.
So yeah, I'm actually maybe now I'll play a little bit more Final Fantasy because I'm through the story now, and now I can get on to the interesting stuff.
Well, the interesting stuff is sort of expansion stuff, and that's just the current raid tier and the dungeons. And
yeah,
the thing about those and doing those is doing them a little bit at the start is okay. Oh, I forgot about stupid verbs.
Oh great! Now stupid bird is here too.
It is a stupid bird. Look at it.
No, not those.
How
birds.
are we going to hit it though?
I'm trying to ignore those birds because I can't do anything about them.
Yeah, roller skates can't do jump and attack. Our flip kick high enough?
No, this isn't working either.
We appear to have encountered a slight problem.
Ack.
Hold on. I will.
Yes,
I will fix it. Just keep fighting.
Nope.
Well, we can't really. We're just going to run around.
We can't. We just got to chase the birds around.
Cannot configure. There we go. Okay.
Yeah, you just got to get far enough away.
No. Just keep fighting them and stay in that phase. I'm coming back.
Jingling, no.
I can't hear you because I can't generate any elemental particles.
Hang on.
Yeah.
A bring that can actually hit those. It'll work.
It destroyed all the blocks that puts us as far away as possible from the entrance as well.
Yeah, it did.
Oh no, and I'm playing a character that can't swim. Okay, Nahida, Sport Queen, we'll get our butts over there. I would have brought an Electro character. Have much better tools for killing them birds, but that would also kill you guys. Not that it would really matter with
Not really, but even so.
Hang on, Nahita's swimming as fast as she can. She's not very good at it.
Splish, 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 splish.
Shuttlecocks are not meant for aquatic use.
Okay. Oh, that was just rude.
Did you remember to get the flower?
No, because I randomly exploded right as it finished.
Oh, you hit all the blooms.
I hit all the blooms.
I forgot those 2 kickback damage. Did you insta die from it?
No, Bennett had like 3 hit points left, so. And he can't swim either. Come on.
No,
Fish.
he's medium male. His swim speed is not small female.
True.
They are not quick in the water.
They have their stubby little legs. Okay, that's actually a pretty good haul. Let me just see how much I need. So yeah, beyond those, as far as anime goes, I actually went back and finished the. I found another Bob for now. Let me see. I need more cleansing hearts. I need another 5 of those, and the materials to make 3 chunks, 2 chunks technically. So yeah, finished Ultimate Muscle and all of its various bits and pieces. Even though and I'm going to call it a movie because they call it a movie. It's not. It's more like a bonus episode. Hasn't been translated, and going back and watching that after watching the 4Kids adaptation is a little bit jarring. Like the 4Kids adaptations were not particularly accurate, to put it nicely. But they're all done in good fun, and I know we used to poo-poo on 4Kids because of all the liberties they took over the years, but geez, those were actually fairly good days.
Because of the One Piece opening song.
Simultaneously great and cringe. Also Digimon. So yeah, they took a lot of liberties, but everything was done in good fun for the most part. So it didn't have that streak of, geez, I don't even know what you call it. I don't know, arrogance, I guess, that you get in some modern localizations. Fish
Well, I
Woman's
mean,
back up.
it was a different type of sort of like, how would I describe? It was sort of like a patronizing type of high-handed. We're making these changes for your own good type of thing to protect you. Whereas
Or
these
protect your
days,
kids, at least.
it's all we're making these changes in order to further the message.
Yeah.
And to
Although,
correct the author's mistakes.
yeah, they did claim like they changed it so kids could understand it or wouldn't be offensive to kids. But yes, I was absolutely correct about the character Dick Van Dyke. His name in Japanese is Gazelle Man. So why, of all the antelope species, did they go with the Dick? I'll tell you why, it's because it's funny.
Localizers are incredibly juvenile.
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, they are.
That one's pretty funny. I'll give them that one.
That is pretty funny.
Yeah, I didn't say anything about whether or not it was funny, though. I just said it was incredibly juvenile, and I didn't hear an argument.
Yeah, we're not going to disagree with that point. It is both can be true at the same time. That's why fart jokes are always funny. Which, incidentally, Ultimate Muscle has a lot of as well. Anywho, so that's that. As far as anime goes, I went back and I'm going to do another run through of Black Clover, I think, because I never actually saw the finale to that. And going back through the first couple of sets, I'd forgotten just how hard to watch those first couple of sets are. It's not because the writing is particularly bad, it's just because of Asta.
Yeah, because he's straight up Naruto XP in those early phases.
Yeah.
Volume.
Especially volume. So thankfully he does stop that for the most part later, but for now, got to put up with it. But yeah, for a series that got righteously crapped on when it first came out, and because those first couple of blocks deservedly so in a lot of cases, I think it really kind of pulls itself together and tells a good story at the end. It just takes a while to get there because, shonen. And beyond that, that's my week. Oh, is she going to do the worst positioning?
Doesn't matter. All that matters is how much healthier is left after the bombs go off. Fight is a whole lot of waiting.
It is.
Hoping you don't get things that spawn bombs, or hoping you don't get crows. That spawns a bomb, I'm pretty sure. Yep.
Yeah, bomb frog. There it goes.
Yeah, Miko, you didn't. Hot. You're built for elemental mastery, and you have
Pop a fragile resin.
very bad gear.
Yeah, actually, because I've power leveled my world up a fair bit over the last couple of weeks, I've gotten a stockpile of fragile resin now.
That's good.
A couple of...
Yeah,
that's the first Gladiator's Hourglass or Gladiator's Sands I've gotten.
Yeah, so once you're well, I don't recommend blowing all of your fragile resin right now. You don't. I actually advise against what a lot of the guides will tell you, which is save it all for when you got the max world level or the highest world level you can, because you're just gonna be fighting an uphill battle for months if you do that.
Yeah, you
As
kind of
somebody
need
who
to...
was behind the power curve for most of the journey, just get at least a team of characters that are very comfortable at just getting you around the place, but so that every time you run into a ruin guard, it doesn't completely forestall your progress.
Yeah, I've kind of got that team now. If I run into an excessive amount of hydro with my current team, I'll swap in catching.
Well, the watermark I would use is: can you go back and beat down Childer with your team or not?
Possibly.
Yeah, like if you can,
if you decide to do that, I keep thinking to call it Echo of War. What is it called? Trance Domain. If you go and do the Trance Domain for Childer, does he give you trouble? Are you able to quite handily beat him down? If so, then your characters have got enough grunt.
Yeah.
just you
doing him story mode, I didn't have any trouble with him whatsoever, but that's not the same as...
He is a boss that is incredibly squishy, stun lockable, and does not have very much HP.
I have a really bad character for this.
I can reduce their shields, but I can't do any damage to them. So
That's fine.
You're on your own.
Oh, what are y'all doing? Yeah, I was
Geo Slimes. This is leeway. Of course, we're fighting Geo Slimes.
Oh, I was back at
It's
Oceanid.
always Geo Slimes.
I was hanging out at Oceanid waiting for you guys. Do you need more Oceanid, or Fern?
I do need more Oceanid, yeah.
I'm at the puddle.
I'm just waiting for to kill these Geo Slimes.
Yeah, I think I found a puzzle I'd missed.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that's it.
You play any more Genshin this week? I know you're stuck in Ninamazuma, but
yeah, I did play a little bit, but mostly it's been grinding and building up.
Oh my goodness, you do so little damage.
I know. Bennett is not a frontline character for me. I think he's a frontline character for anyone.
The thing is, I do literally no damage. I'd have to teleport somewhere else, so I'm out of combat. Hold on.
Hang on.
Yeah, let's just get out of here.
You need me to come take a picture of stuff?
I do literally 0 damage to Geoslimes. That's the thing.
Hang on.
Yeah, just come and take a photo of this last Geoslime.
Oh, that guy. go.
Should have changed character before I did this. Okay, there we go. Treasure chest for days. That's what I was looking for.
Ah, good old Leeway.
It is good at multiple treasure chests. Let me actually change to a character that does some damage. Where is Ketching? There we go.
There you go.
So now I also have a response to birds.
Burb.
Yeah, Ketching just goes to the bird.
Yeah, you can aim at the bird.
The pretend cat. There is a cat girl for every element, except Electro has Kitching instead.
Cat hair counts, maybe.
Cat sort of counts.
I can go. Yay!
Yay!
I don't have.
Oh, you got the alternate. You got the alternate costume.
Yeah, this is what I dumped my initial batch of. Why do I have all these things? This is the delete
have-
costume.
What they call Kitching Pro Max.
Oh dear. So yeah. But yeah, Fern, just basically when it comes to talking about Genshin and what advice you should listen to and stuff, I'm going to tell you, do not listen to the internet at all. In fact,
Found
They
so
lied
much
to you.
information on the internet that is either horrendously out of date or just straight up wrong.
yeah, me and Vol had a much closer experience to what you're going to be playing at throughout this game. Just ask us.
Like, I went searching for one simple answer about a weapon earlier this week, which is the theme song book, whether or not that carries over when you swap the character out, and I could not
Yes.
get a straight answer.
Yeah, they have a lot. There's a lot of sort of assumed knowledge, which tends to get summarily replaced by. Well, I mean, they on one hand they are assuming knowledge, and on the other hand they think that you really, really badly want to know their opinion on everything.
Yes.
And
So
furthermore,
half of them, when I went looking for that answer, weren't so much about yes or no on that question. It's like, well, what character does it work on, or who is better than Nouvelette, or whatever.
yeah,
That's a false question. No one is better than Nouvelette.
yeah, the account experience for somebody not turbo whaling when it comes to character advice, it's especially character advice.
Oops.
You're going to
You don't need to do that.
you're going to run into one mega shoe of these people assume you are C6ing every 4-star character in the game, and that you can pull for practically any 5-star, and that you have the base roster of what they call the essential support cast at minimum, and a good chunk of them assume you have Nouvelette.
You have to have
Yeah.
a perfectly maxed Bennett and a perfectly maxed Shangling as well.
Yeah.
I'm getting there on those at least.
Oh no!
When I say perfect, I mean perfect, like perfectly statted artifacts that rolled the correct stat every time.
Yeah, they assume that you have spent tens of thousands of resin on the stupid artifact domains for them.
Blur. Oh, so one more should do it. Touch. How much statue juice do I have left? Plenty. Okay, we're good.
We've been until this run we were loaning in, so we will not be eating your statue juice when we're doing that.
Yeah.
Well, I self-healed as Clorinda that round as well, so I didn't drain your statue.
Let's get the other banner character up.
I've just brought a kindergartner.
Bring-
Possibly the most destructive kindergartner in Teyvat, but still a kindergartner.
I'll give her a doll to play with so she doesn't blow us all up.
You know what Klee does with dolls, right?
Let's bomb in them.
It's a bomb in 'em.
Yes.
It's kind of what Klee does with everything.
That's okay, because it's a Geo doll, when it explodes, it'll just explode inside of a shield. Donks.
Donks.
Go back to Fontaine, Frenchie. Seriously, I took damage from man.
Grab a shield from my doll. So yeah, I guess we can move on to Vols Week then, if you don't have anything else, Fern.
Yeah, go for it.
Right, my week was busy. I have lots of staff on leave. One of them is coming back next week, so next week might be slightly less bad, except that at least I had the excuse that I had to focus on other things this week past because of people being away. But once they're back, then I'll be back trying to address the boss's pipe dreams of method validation. So I don't think that the suffering will end for me anytime soon. But I guess that's just how it is when you're forced to become an adult. Ugh. But yeah, so what I didn't do this week was catch up on Blue Archive. Like, I've sort of slacked off on it. Like, I'm not participating at all in joint firing drill this cycle. Like, I just can't bring myself to. I hate joint firing drill. I don't know anybody who likes joint firing drill. It's always awful.
Even when I was actively playing, I just didn't do it.
Normally, I at least do a minimum effort one, but I couldn't be bothered this time. Joint firing drill is horrible. It's just, it is really obnoxious. I don't like doing it. It's definitely an activity for people who have incredibly massive rosters of incredibly built characters. At least that's how it seems to me. So I'm not really a huge fan. But I don't participate in any of the in-game stuff at a high level, regardless. Like, I'm usually top 20 on PvP, but that's about the limit of it. So the main thing, though, this particular cycle of updates is that the next chapter of the story has been released, but because everybody is apparently releasing content at the moment, I haven't had time to actually touch it. So yeah, that's on the back burner for the time being. Most of my free time this week went into Genshin, which we will discuss during Ari's week, I guess. The only thing specific to me about it was that I did my Shalonan pulls and I got her, and I pulled for her signature weapon and got 2 of them in the same pull. So I have a slightly more powerful version because there can't be that many sword-based off-field geo buffers, right?
Oh, right, I was going to make bad decisions on the show.
I don't know if you should make bad decisions on the show. I mean, you're kind of going to screw yourself for the future if you do. But I mean, you certainly can't argue with Shalonan's buffing potential. I've built my Shalonan purely as a buffer, like with total disregard to her personal damage, which is not the wisest way of doing it. You should still give some regard to her damage because she has some on-field time, and that on-field time is spent doing damage. So you should build some damage, but I haven't, because the only reason that Shalonan exists, as far as I'm concerned, is to make Ningguang more powerful, because I am absolutely hell-bent on resurrecting the Ningguang, and she has reached a level of power that I would say is comparable to my Clorinda when I'm playing solo with Shalonan's help. So I can now use Ningguang as my main DPS again in wandering around and doing random bosses and that type of thing.
I just need to bring 2 Hydras so she has the HP to actually stay alive.
Yeah, that's the big problem, is that she's fragile as a pane of glass, being in like a 1.0 a 1.04 star. You're just more fragile. That's all there is to it. Those early characters do not have very many hit points. and there's not really any solution to the problem, I guess, at all. Because you don't want to build them for HP if they're a carry. That's not going to be helpful. So I guess that she has a small advantage in that being a Geo character, she can at least rely on having access to shields, even if it can be difficult to keep them up all the time because you get tagged by the things a lot. Since she tends to animation lock herself in awkward positions, but yeah, I was still able to use her for things like all of my mat farming for Shalon's Ascension mats. I did using my Ningguang team with very little problem. I was able to quite handily deal with that situation. So yeah, it's nice being able to get my girl out again and use her as my main damage. I've enjoyed using Clorinda, but I do love Catalyst's characters the most, and so I'm quite happy to be able to be playing Ningguang again. I have basically just slapped placeholder gear other than the outrageously powerful sword that I have for Shalonen, which is easily my most powerful weapon in terms of a points investment, an item budget perspective of any weapon I've got, which means that I can buff Ningguang or anybody else in my team to the nines. So like my Farina's little pets are firing for like 10k damage a pop and that type of thing.
Yeah, it means damage output will not be a blockage issue for you ever again.
But what is very frustrating is Shalonen gives out like several different types of buffs and debuffs in the course of her normal use, and it just really highlights how bad Genshin is at communicating that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's really, really exceptionally hard to tell when your buffs are up, and to just sort of like, there's very poor visual communication. Is your hot up? Is your signature weapons buff up? Is the elemental resistance debuff applied? Is your party buff up? Like, she's got so many buffs, and you just can't tell whether they're running or not.
Yeah.
That's not information you're being provided with, and it's very frustrating.
Yeah, don't mind me. I'm
Yeah.
just running around collecting mushrooms.
We need a hydro.
So my
Pyro red
main
is fine.
my main criticism
Let me do this first.
Your main criticism
for Shalonen is not of Shalonen necessarily, unless she turns out to be as corrosive to the meta as Nouveletta's, but rather that Genshin is very poor at expressing the buffs. I don't know why they couldn't just, when you eat food, there's a little circle that appears, right, that shows you you got your food buff. I don't see any reason why they make almost no use of that buff, but like, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
just put a little tiny icon down there which has a particular icon relevant to the skill that applies whatever buff you're applying, or something. I don't care. Just do something so that I can tell if the buff is up or not.
Yeah.
Because the stacking conditions for the buff from the signature weapon are a little jank. Like, you have to max out stacks or trigger a refresh on max stacks with your regular normal attacks in order to trigger the party buff. So it does have very specific triggering requirements, which are not hard to meet. However, it requires you to perform, 2 to 3 actions within a 6-second window in order to put it up, and then it will last for 15 seconds. And it's like, well, given the other number of buffs that I'm trying to run at the same time, how exactly am I to measure how much time I've got left, or whether the thing's even running to begin with?
Yeah, you kind of want...
Did I double tap recently or what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's optimally if you have burst up. It seems like with Shalonen, you're wanting to go 1-2 burst, 1-2 roller skates, 1-2 buffs up, swap out.
I mean, you would think so, but that does make your rotation rather long if you've also got Farina in your thing, and that it's sort of getting to the point where, well, kind of, you want to drop Yomiko's totems first to tighten the rotation, but then you can't use the totems as an accurate timer for the buff length. And like I don't really think that we should be required to use workarounds when they've put timers. Just put the timer visually on the screen so that I don't have to count. I already have to count for Ningguang's internal cooldowns because they're internal.
Yeah. The conversely, if you go the 4-star weapon route with Salonin like I have, it is much less brain work for to get, but it effectively makes it so you have the same defense, I think, as the 5-star. Does their 5-star come with bonus defense aside from the being a 5-star over a 4-star, like in the skill text itself?
No, it maxes out 82.7% on the sword, and there's normal attacks. So basically, it's a 2-phase buff, right? So your normal attacks will buff your defense by 10% per tap, up to 2 stacks. And then when you hit the 2 stacks or refresh the 2 stacks, then it spills over into elemental damage 10% per 1,000. Well, I'm using the figures from my one, which is whatchamacallit,
Yeah, it's
level 2. But yeah, you do get a little bit of defense, provided you're on field, basically, because it only lasts 6 seconds.
Oh, you're bringing the
So,
Barbara?
yeah.
I'm bringing the Barbara, the bigger, better Barbara.
You're never gonna die.
So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a she's certainly a powerful character in the sense that she's enabled me to bring back a character who has long since been demoted to the lowest tier. Well, nearly the lowest tier. But yeah, it's just it sort of highlights a lot of QOL problems with Genshin as it currently exists.
Oh. Well then.
Yeah, Vol bursted him. It died. We may actually have to wait on the respawn timer.
No, the respawn is like 5 seconds, isn't it?
I thought it was like a minute.
Poor plant just got deleted.
No, they shortened it dramatically. I'm sure they shortened it dramatically.
Yeah, well, it used to be 5 minutes.
I'm pretty sure it's like 5 seconds.
Oh man, we had
So
3.
even with me having the signature weapon though, Aristeel's Shallonen does like double the damage that mine does because he hasn't completely disregarded personal damage the way I have.
Yeah, where are we looking? I haven't put anything in like she has a geo damage goblet that's offset.
Mine doesn't. Mine's just deaf.
Yeah.
Because I didn't manage to roll deaf on pieces because I've got placeholder gear. So yeah, my defense is nothing to write home about. But it's that's not the point. The point is that I can play Ningguang now.
Yeah.
That is 100% the point as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. I do not know how they're going to power creep Shallonen aside from giving Dendro and Anemo an equivalent unit of equal power. They kind of already have Kazuha.
Dendro has
Anemo?
Nahida. Like Nahida is the Dendro thing, right?
Yeah.
This is the purpose that she plays is as a force multiplier for every Dendro reaction, fundamentally. So I think that Nahida really is the Shallonen of Dendro. It's executed in a wholly different way, to be sure, and it's not just stat buffs, but in terms of taking Dendro and spooling it out to its maximum extent, that's what Shallonen does. What Shallonen doesn't do is really interact with Geo in any meaningful way.
No, but what she...
There's nothing Geo about what Shallonen does. That's the big difference between her and Nahida. Is that they are both like sort of premium buffers, but they head in opposite directions with respect to their element.
Well, Salonin also allows you to condense a roll because she's buffer and healer as long as you keep the heal enabled.
Yeah, well, the heal it's a tick-based heal. It's not going to solve your problems the way Barbara does. But basically, the interesting thing, I think the most interesting thing rather than that, is the fact that if you build a geo-heavy team composition, she becomes an on-field damage dealer instead. she's not going to be a premium on-field damage dealer. Like, she's going to do less damage than Navia. She's going to do less damage than Chiori, for sure. But she can do quite respectable damage if you build her for that, because the mode of her ultimate completely changes if you have a Geo heavy party composition.
Yeah, if you're 3 Geo, she does work. But yeah, the for non Geo heavy teams that aren't Dendro teams, she or Anima teams, she's a role condenser, and this is relevant particularly for the Primo Gym weekly or cycling content, because especially Spiral Abyss that requires 2 teams. It
Well,
means
it's more important, I think, than just as role condensing is mainly important for Geo. If you lean on Geo to do important roles in your team, then you kind of need the Geo bonus if damage is part of that in any way. And the problem with this is that means you're hedged into always running double Geo. Like, you could argue that double Geo is a good idea for Navia anyway, because other Geo characters make ammo supplies much easier. But the problem with Geo generally, like take a sort of one standard unit Geo carry like Ningguang, your problem is that she needs another Geo with her, and there were up until now no Geo buffer healers.
yeah, Goro.
The closest thing there was
C6 Goro.
The closest thing there was in the real world was Zhongli, because he could put up a massive shield. The problem is that they went out of their way to completely undermine shielding in Fontaine. So but admittedly, that's less of a problem than it was, since we're not in Fontaine anymore for the forward-going content. The issue was, though, that they haven't run Zhongli in donkey's years, and anybody who wants to main Geo on field is sort of up a creek without a paddle up until now. But Shalonen's sort of like an ideal slot in to solve a lot of those problems. It doesn't solve some of the core Geo problems, but some of the changes they've announced for 5.2, well, they haven't announced, that they've been leaked for 5.2 regarding coefficients of reactions, might change that, because Shatter will be coming back. And Geo is the only element that can shatter. I mean, anybody can do it with physical, but lol, physical.
Yeah.
Although they are bringing superconduct back as well.
Oh boy.
Yeah, dust off your end user license agreement.
The thing that has the longest run since it's had a banner.
Yeah, but this basically says to me there's a very high chance that they'll rerun end user license agreement in 5.2.
Oh, good old.
Because if they're buffing Shatter and Superconduct in the same patch, that's basically, it's got end user license agreement written all over it.
Yeah, that girl, that little Mondstadt racist, needs to come back. I don't know why she's racist in all the memes. She just is. Also, do you need more Pyro Red? Just fine.
I'm just checking that. I'm good for one set of ascensions. I do need to spend a lot of time running around picking up specialties, though.
Yeah, well, that's fine. You can track those and do that. That's. How's your catching? She need help?
Catching needs. Let me see. I gotta get back in there. Catching's kind of like my slot 5 character at the moment.
I guess because you got freaking Flyboy.
Yeah.
What?
So if I run into something that comp doesn't work with, then I can swap in catching, and that usually solves it.
Yeah.
Catching needs purple fragments and whopper flowers.
Yeah.
Always the whopper flowers. I do have enough lightning prisms though.
Yeah, if you are going to focus on Dendro. With what's his face? You need Nahida. Not for
Yeah.
any of the tools Nahida brings that enable things like with Electro, but for the stupid jacked up damage she'll make you do with her elemental mastery buffs.
Yeah,
Mm,
because that's can each kind of scales with elemental mastery. So yeah,
Does he?
yeah,
I mean,
his
other than because of his reactions, like how does he scale? I
yeah
don't
his
know anything about him.
his pew pews scale with elemental mastery. His physical attack is basically negligible.
Yeah, so all of his stuff has EM as its scaling stat, because it'll tell
Yep.
you if you look at the skills what the scaling stat is. If that says elemental mastery, you definitely need Nahida.
Well, the thing is
Yeah.
that popular opinion. I know this is deferring to popular opinion on a Genshin character. Nobody builds EM on Kinich.
Yeah, I would
It's
imagine.
not the thing. Everybody's just like, no, just do crit damage attack because he's an on-field damage dealer. Crit damage attack will eventually outscale everything else.
That may be true, but crit damage attack and getting the both of the stats to roll on all the pieces of gear is way harder than just rolling for one stat in EM.
I think I need to probably do a bit of
Especially
science and math
since
on this, but I think he
EM
actually
is
double
kind of a
dipped on
booby
EM.
price.
Yeah, normally EM is kind of whatever, unless it's a Dendro based team you're getting it for, or it's Electro.
I guess I don't know how teams with an on-field Dendro driver are actually built because I don't
Well,
have any.
until Kanish, there was like Alhaitham, and that was it.
That was it.
Yeah, but he's also the only like triple S tier character not named Nouvelette. I guess Alachino's in that category as well. Like he's one of the top 3 drivers in the game. So saying that he's only Alhaitham is kind of underselling the amount of
Yeah.
effect that he has on the meta.
It's just that when Nouvelette is a quad S, we may have a triple S tier, but Nouvelette just kind of overshadows it, so I don't ever hear anybody talking about Alhaitham because I don't follow the fandom.
He's just in the Nouvelette tier.
Yeah, but the what it remains that that there is a relatively well established kind of orthodoxy regarding Dendro drivers because a premium one that lots of people are using exists, and so it's been examined in great detail. I mean, I don't know the specifics about how he works, so don't really have a lot of commentary on that, but I would presume that Kinich can be modeled a little bit similarly since, he's on field doing similar types of things.
Oh, right. You know
Yeah.
what? Because he's a freaking Natlan character is why.
Yeah, that's probably part of it, actually.
Yeah, okay. The reason this is important is because Night Soul Burst with the new set gives you a stupid amount of crit rate, like 40% or something.
Yeah, it is. It's nuts.
So yeah, you don't have a choice with him because he's a Natlan character. It's a waste of your time to build anything.
All right.
So Nahida may not be as important for you.
The only thing I really remember about Alhaitham is he's like the one character who uses Toma unironically in his team comps.
Poor Toma.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure why Toma, other than he's applies for Toma. And if Toma himself wasn't so useless, I think that his pyro application would have pushed him to a similar position in pyro that Baidu occupies for Electro, but he's also Toma.
Oh,
Yeah.
because it's slow application is why. Him and Daya are the premier burning Burgeon characters for the Kanish team that uses them because they apply pyro so slowly.
So that's because they're bad. They're the opposite of Klee.
Yeah.
Yeah. I considered using Toma instead of Bennett, but Toma isn't Bennett. That's all there is really to it.
I feel like the Bennett thumbs up is kind of iconic.
Yeah.
Anyway,
the burning teams are all listed in Emily, so they're not going to help you there. The Burgeon teams, however, use Nahida and your choice of Hydro, because basically any of them will work. and a slow pyro applicator. Or
There's nobody wants a fast pyro applicator.
yeah, well, Mulan does.
No, apparently, Klee is generally regarded as being slightly too fast for any type of team. Like she can work in vape teams, but she's not regarded as being very good because her pyro application will furiously overwrite everything all the time.
But she's the cutest little pyromaniac.
That she is.
Yeah.
She's adorable, and she will probably also usher in the apocalypse on Teva.
Yes.
But anyway, moving on from that, since Aristotle can cover Genshin more thoroughly in his week. So the other thing that I paid attention to, as far as Star Rail is concerned, this is basically just a farming week at the moment, since there's nothing much going on, which is good because you need break weeks sometimes. The 2.6 promotions are running at the moment. They started. So starting with 2.6 rather than 2.7, which is being drip marketed at the moment. So they did the previous stream, which was, as usual, I had to watch it in English, which made me cringe, because the English one is always very, very cringy. The thing that you've got to sort of understand is that it works really well in the Japanese, but there's no subtitles on it. And the reason it works really well in the Japanese is because being invited to do panel discussion type things is sort of like meat and potatoes for Japanese voice actors.
Mm-hmm.
But English voice actors just don't have that sort of opportunity generally. So they're way, way less good at it. The ones that get picked for the streams, though, vary depending on availability. So in each language, you might see a different combination of characters. One of them will usually be a new character that's coming out for the patch, but the other two will be just other voice actors that were available.
Oh, right. Didn't the English stream use a pair of random NPC guards?
No, that was for Genshin. For Star Rail, they usually use major cast characters. This time for English, though, it was Dr. Ratio and Herta.
Oh, no.
I felt like Herta was quite kind of OOC. Dr. Ratio was not that OOC and appeared to be cringing the entire time.
At least you got Ratio's voice instead of Clara's.
Yeah, I even during the sort of the pseudo extemporaneous nature of the streams, his voice acting really stands out as being a cut above the other characters around him. Which is kind of bizarre considering he's on paper got the least experience. But yeah, I don't know. Dr. Ratio's English VA is something else. One of the few characters that I think is tolerable in the English.
Yeah, with Star Rail, we're definitely working with tolerable as our baseline that we'll hope for.
I think that Dr. Ratio's voice acting could fit in quite comfortably with some of the better English dubs around for various things. I think it's of quite a good level of quality. Sure, he may only do the one character and he may always do it the same way, but he's got it down to a fine art. So, for Honkai Star Rail 2.6 is going to be the next Trailblaze continuance. We'll be coming to the end of the 2.x arc soon, I think. Probably 2.7 will be the last one, maybe 2.8, hard to say. They could switch over into 3.0 depending on the way they want to do the transition to the new region, but they haven't really shown any details on that. So the next event, we're going to be headed back to Penacony, and it will take place at the Paperfold Academy, which is mentioned by many NPCs at various points, and basically everybody on Penacony goes to Paperfold Academy for university. And they are having basically an expo of sorts and a music festival and so on. And basically all of the major stakeholders of Penacony have been invited to the event, and being that they are now stakeholders, that means the Astral Express as well.
Oh, this means shenanigans. Please let us get another quest.
So yeah, it's not really clear how the story is going to go, except that it involves copious numbers of monkeys, apparently, for reasons that have not been explained at all. But yeah, so basically, it's this is going to be the school life arc for the kids of the Astral Express. That they're all going to show up and experience what it's like to go to the academy.
Ern, you
They've
seem to
got
be having trouble.
they've basically
Yeah,
got three faculties.
combat at the moment.
One which is basically about is training Dreamweavers. One which is about training, which is basically the School of Economics, and one which is the School of the Performing Arts. So Robin, for instance, graduated from the Performing Arts one, and she's going to show up basically as well, since she's like the most famous alumnus of the academy. So they haven't revealed anything about the story other than that, and that it's going to bring in the appearance of a new character, Rappa, who was mentioned by
Bill.
Boot Hill in the recent event as being OP. What they didn't mention is that she's crazy.
The best ones.
So essentially, she's basically Izuna from Blue Archive. She thinks she's a ninja. She thinks everybody else is also a type of ninja, and that the entire world operates on the basis of ninjutsu.
Okay.
I did
They
see
haven't
the
given.
I did see the animation they had for her ultimate.
Aha.
That was hilarious.
So basically, they haven't said what her background is, but the rumors persist that and they keep sort of obliquely hinting it might be the case that she's from Punk Lord. Now, it would make a lot of sense if she really is from Punk Lord, because from her point of view, everybody is a ninja and ninjutsu works. And as far as she is concerned, it seems to actually work. And since the natives of Punk Lord are all basically reality hackers, she could quite easily simply make ninjutsu work because she wants to. So she addresses everybody as a ninja as well. Like, for instance, she calls the Trailblazer the baseball bat ninja.
I mean, she's not wrong on that run.
Both trash can ninjas.
I guess she didn't think that was dignified enough. I don't know. But basically, yeah, she runs on ninja and she thinks she's a ninja and she sees everything as ninja related. She refers to Herta as the twirling ninja.
Not wrong.
True.
But yeah, so at any rate, she's erudition, imaginary, and with a break focus. So she's basically going to be the break team's answer to Jade, who is basically if you have a follow-up team and you want to do pure fiction, you should get Jade, because she's their premier entry in the pure fiction category and not really good for anything else. So you basically pulling for Jade means you're all in on both pure fiction and on follow-up. And likewise, I expect it will apply to Rapper, that if you pull for Rapper, then it's because you are going all in on break teams and want to use them in pure fiction.
Yeah. Well, these pivot characters are handy for people that have really gone in on one archetype that may not be usable in one particular type of content. Like, follow-up is butts at pure fiction without Jade. But
yeah, there is a big there's a similar type of problem for Break, because Break, even though the main DPS for Break is Firefly and Firefly is Blast, the fact is that Break as it currently exists is a hyper carry format. You have double support and a damage dealer, which works really badly in terms of doing large numbers with small amounts of damage, which is what you need when you need to hose a huge amount of trash the way you do in pure fiction. Like, Firefly gets a lot of turns if you built her correctly, but not enough turns to justify that she's the only one outputting damage in the team.
yeah,
That's really the problem with Break.
The problem with doing follow-up in pure fiction is Numby and Ratio are going to clobber a couple things really hard, but they only hit one thing.
I got through pure fiction with a follow-up team, but I was using basically it was sort of a niche team based on the Fei Xiao March 7th duo that only barely worked, but it did work. It did work. But you're sort of obliged to have enough oomph to kill something with every hit. Otherwise, you're not going to make it in time.
Hang on, Fern, this screams puzzle.
But yeah, so that's going to be the only new character in this patch, which is good because they need to slow their roll a little bit. The banners have been announced for 2.6. First half is going to be Rappa and Imbibe Lune. So I don't know. Imbibe Lune's got a lot of fans. He was one of the most popular characters. As far as social media engagement's concerned, has only recently been surpassed. And
But
is
they're doing double
basically
boys.
Rappa's not a boy, Rappa's a girl.
Oh, okay. The world is correct. Then. Never mind. Carry on.
So Imbibe Lune is not really premium in the meta anymore. His particular archetype needs some help at the moment, but he was sort of like the premium damage dealer for the I'm going to use all my skill points now archetype.
Yeah, if
But
you
he's heavily stat dependent. Like he's a beat stick that can basically amp up his damage per skill points. If you can funnel huge amounts of skill points to him, then he does really well. But that basically means he's joined at the hip with Sparkle.
if you got Sparkle, you might be able to keep him relevant in the current meta. Without her, it's going to be an uphill battle, I think.
He could occupy a place in a future meta that was very heavily based around hypercarry design. Like if they release another really powerful hypercarry support who's either favors skill point consumption or is quite generic, I think that you could probably run him alongside a double support format the way you do with Firefly. Simply because his actual raw numbers are bonkers. The issue really at present is that there isn't quite the support to make him work, which is why he's an odd pick. Because there's really no upsell at the moment for Imbibe Lune.
Mm-hmm.
But he just does have a lot of people that like him, and since he got a bit of a cameo in the end of Penacony, and he hasn't been run in the time since, there's going to be people who are newer who want him. I think he's probably going to be a little bit evergreen since he's so relevant to the main cast. Second half is going to be Acheron Aventurine.
Yeah.
So basically everybody who missed Acheron the first time wants Acheron now. And nearly everybody who wants Aventurine, who didn't get Aventurine in the first half, wants Aventurine now. It's basically a really mean pairing because there's lots of people who are going to feel obliged to pull both.
Yeah.
Open your wallets, Wales.
You are almost certainly going to want to get one of them if you don't. If you have a follow-up team, you absolutely want or practically need Adventuring. And Acheron is such a powerful generic unit. It doesn't matter what your team load up.
But she is an archetype to herself. She is like nihility damage, the archetype. So yeah, that is definitely going to be a banner that's going to drain a lot of wallets, and as such is a really, really, really good banner to put in immediately before a really, really hype banner that comes up afterward.
Yeah, and people really seem to like a certain day of the week.
Yes, they do. The thirst is very real, evidently. The thing to remember about Hao-Yo games is they actually do have a lot of female players.
Yeah.
A lot of very degenerate, thirsty female players.
Yeah. About to say, we already have that day of the week without a penis. In fact, she makes the follow-up team go.
Anyway, so following on from the Trailblaze continuance, it's structured like the 2.5 patch in the sense that you've got the Trailblaze continuance, and then following up after that, you've got your your event, which sort of has its own sort of sub story that carries on in the sort of the aftermath. So this time it was like, okay, so the primary story deals with the Borison, and the secondary story deals with Luca. In this case, they have got the primary story dealing with the sort of the arts expo, I guess, that's taking place at the academy, and the one afterwards, basically having managed to bring her career as a fight manager and coach to a successful completion, the Trailblazer has decided to try her hand at becoming a band manager.
Because
And
why not?
and so now is going to be managing a band that has to perform at the academy. Yes.
Okay.
And so this is going to have a variety of events, like sort of social events and a few rhythm game-ish events. They showed a brief clip of collecting music samples and assembling music samples from around the galaxy. One of these samples is the Cake Cats singing. I love the Cake Cats. They're adorable.
I didn't know they could sing though.
They can meow in tune, evidently.
I guess.
I'm about to say you haven't heard them sing yet. The patch.
But yes. Other events that they discussed for this patch are going to include Mr. Coldfeet's pop-up shop. Mr. Coldfeet's pop-up shop is basically a business being run by Sampo for suspicious reasons. But
Sanpo,
it is...
Mr. Coldfeet.
Yes, he is Mr. Coldfeet.
Right.
It's essentially identical to the Genshin event, which has that guy who stands in Mondstadt with the big backpack.
Oh yeah, that one that shows up.
Yep.
Yeah, you just collect a bunch of random things and you turn them in each day for a reward. That's all that one is. So it's basically free stuff. There's also going to be a second run of the assignment event where much like the regular form of assignments, you send off on assignments to do investigations for the IPC into the whereabouts and behaviors of various wanted Galaxy Rangers, except that, of course, Rappa will now have been added to the roster of Galaxy Rangers that need to be investigated, along with Boot Hill. So that's also basically a free stuff event. And they are adding the next chapter to Simulated Universe. That is specifically, I mean to say, Simulated Universe and not Divergent Universe. Divergent Universe is going to continue in the background, but Simulated Universe is getting another chapter to succeed Golden Gears. And this new one is going to be called The Unknowable Domain. It is strongly implied that this will be sort of like the first batch of hinting at, Herta 2.0, the character, like sort of introducing Herta's backstory a little bit more and spending more time getting to know her. But this particular one is basically, it seems like it's basically almost entirely nixing the blessing system. It's not 100% clear to me that that's what's happening, but it does look kind of like it. And this particular chapter will use a totally different system where you basically collect, well, I'll call them curios for simplicity's sake, though they're not curios. And you can collect up to like 3 of these, and they've got slots that you can slot other upgrades that you collect into to form different combinations of effects and speeds and that sort of thing, and they interact with each other and so on and so forth. So it's just a different type of loadout building that's a little bit of a fresh variation compared to the blessing system that we've used in the last 4 iterations, Simulated and Divergent. So, yeah, that's an interesting addition. I still haven't done even Swarm Disaster, so I've got a lot of catching up to do. They are also going to, as part of this update, they are adding all of the event 4-star light cones to the Herta shop. Yeah, including before the tutorial mission starts.
Yeah, it's kind of a big deal for that one in particular.
Because before the tutorial mission starts, it's like best in slot for heaps of characters if you don't have a 5-star.
I think it's even better than some characters' 5-star option.
It's just a really, really solid light cone. So those are all those along with a superimposition material, much like the 5-stars, will all be available in the Herta shop for half the cost of the 5-star equivalent. So it'll be like 4 tickets per.
4 tickets per one, and one ticket
per light cone, and then one for the upgrade item. So yeah, people will finally be able to get their hands on that instead of it being, the aristocrats who have before the tutorial mission starts and everybody else who doesn't. Yeah, there'll also be a new 4-star light cone and along with its superimposition mats that will be rewarded for the event that follows the main story of 2.6. I don't know what it does, but it's a destruction light cone, destruction 4-star light cone. There'll also be a new imaginary ascension mat, which I presume will be what Rappa needs. That will be farmable from a new boss, and there will be 2 new relic sets. It's not clear what they do yet based on official announcements. I know that the leaks are out there if you want to go and look for them, but I don't like spoilers, so I tend to steer clear. There's also going to be a return of Garden of Plenty, which is the double drop mats event, and the planar ornaments event, which I guess I need because I haven't gotten a single decent planar ornament in months. I'm currently using really trash ones on a bunch of my premium characters simply because I can't get anything better to drop. So that was the major official announcements for Star Rail. The drip marketing for Star Rail has been this week the announcement of the next 2 new characters. And they do this as just an announcement and then they let people stew for weeks.
That's just
They
cruel.
love doing this. This is how they always do it. They do this every time. But so the first one that they announced was Sunday, and there is much rejoicing because I don't know, it's particularly the female player base absolutely worship the ground this guy walks on. I don't really see the appeal.
They just want their Bishu pretty boy to come in and create a world of order for them. He's going to make sure everything in their life goes just a-okay.
I mean, I kind of wonder if that's it, really. Like, they've just... this is some kind of, like, weird 50 Shades of Grey thing. I don't know. But, yeah, it's... They like Sunday a lot. Like, a lot. Anyway, he's Imaginary Harmony. And I think that he is potentially... I think he's going to be either a support that will be for a new summon type meta or something like that, or just a really powerful standalone support that meshes with a number of different archetypes, kind of like his sister is, although perhaps more so, and maybe also will be compatible with summoner meta, or will be compatible with, say, the skill points meta. Like, let's say that they're bringing back Imbiber to Lune because they are going to see potential for Imbiber de Lune to become more popular once people who have Sunday and Imbiber de Lune start, using them together. And so you've got, like, say, Imbiber de Lune, Sparkle, Sunday, and a tank or sustain.
Also, Fern, come to where we are. We have like 4 chests for you.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, it's I think that he's likely to be a support of some kind. The other character they announced is Fugue, and Fugue is very obviously Tingyun 2.0. Thanks be to Ryan May, because I'm pretty sure Ryan May is going to be responsible for that. But I am like 99.999% sure she's going to be break support. So she's Nihility Fire, which means that Break is going to be rocking very hard on the fire axis at this point, because Firefly is fire, but implants fire weakness, and Lingsha is fire, and Fugue is also fire. So, yeah, it's going to be very fire heavy.
Well,
plus Ryan May, of course.
I mean, that's really not that big a deal for the Break archetype, because the biggest must-have character is Firefly, and she kind of fixes that problem.
Yeah, she's very much the linchpin of that team, and she installs fire. And I don't think that they're going to want to creep her anytime soon. Number one, because she's already really powerful when she's in her element. She is the most. She is the most wet noodle hyper. She's the most wet noodle carry amongst all the archetypes when she's not in her element, but she's also the most outrageously powerful when she is in her element. So I don't think they're going to want to creep her on numbers, but also because she's just really lore important, and half the player base is head over heels in love with her for some reason.
Well, you did kind of spend the whole chapter going on a date with her.
yeah, basically.
The fan base does tend to like crazy.
Well, she's not
She's
crazy.
not crazy. She's like a wholesome good girl next door, except that she's, you know, doomed to die type of thing.
And
Well, it's sort of hard to tell how that all works. Like, Elio's really oblique about it. But she's supposed to be sort of like the you know, platonic form of the good girl type of thing, except that, you know, she's also incredibly powerful. And basically generally very likable and inoffensive, except that she's clearly not quite normal, judging by her totally blasé reaction to the Trailblazers' antics.
yeah,
As though they're like
So-
totally normal.
So Fern, we're talking about Firefly as a character. If you have not yet, do not borrow a Firefly from the support list.
Oh.
Because it's
Okay.
very spoilery. Everything about Firefly is spoilery, and the less spoiled you get, the better your experience.
Yeah, I got that thing right spoiled for me because it was the damage dealing character on Ball's support list, and so I there was no getting around that because I was abusing his supports to make farming quicker in the early era of my account.
These days, I basically already picked the supports that I put up because he's the only one on my friends list who's still using them. Everybody else seems to have all the characters they want.
Yeah, the only character I can put on my support list that isn't going to impair your farming that much is Numby.
Numby and that girl that follows him around.
What's her name?
Yeah,
no,
that
Numby and what's her name?
Numby and his pet IRS agent.
We know who the important one in that partnership is.
Numby really is the important one in this partnership.
Given Aristeel's antipathy for the tax man, I'm surprised he could bring himself to pull.
It's okay, I was
Numby
pulling.
is stocks.
That's because I was pulling for Numby. We still don't know why Topaz got Numby.
Yeah, they never explain how it is that she has a pet Fragmentum trotter when Fragmentum creatures are generally viewed as abominations throughout the story.
Unless their name is Numby.
Or whichever name you give to your simulacrum of a trotter, I guess.
Bubbles or Puffball. What's the other one? Those are the ones we picked.
I think you can just call it trotter.
That's boring.
It is boring. But yeah. Yeah, I'm 99% sure that Tingyun's going to be a break support, so she's a definite must pull for me.
That's a lot of break characters that have come back to back to back to back that have followed the follow-ups that came back to back to back to back.
The thing is that break as an archetype simply didn't exist, period, until Penacony. So they've got a lot of catching up to do to expand the meta into multiple teams.
I'm just wondering if that means that once we pivot to the new planet, if break will be completely put on the back burner for a while they...
I think that that's going to be true for basically every archetype. Like, I'm not expecting to see any more premium follow-ups after Fei Xiao, because I mean, if you look at that, you've got, you know, from the early game, you've got your Topaz and Numby, but later on in the game, you've got your Fei Xiao, your March 7th, your Jade, all appearing late together.
Yeah.
And so that basically that whole archetype is kind of flush at the moment. The same will apply to break once they've got their replacement for Harmony Trailblaze, which is what I expect Fugue to be. And the same, I feel like with Jiachu, the Acheron archetype team was basically completed, because he's basically purpose built for Acheron teams. So yeah, I think that basically when Sunday and Fugue come out, that's basically them rounding off the state of the meta type of thing. Acheron sort of doesn't need to have a multi-target versus single-target option the way both follow-up and break do in Jade and Rapper. But yeah, I feel like they're going to have sort of completed the set, so to speak, for the extant meta at the time that the Fugue and Sunday banner finishes. I mean, we don't really know what's coming down the line Summon is pretty strongly indicated. Team position is also kind of indicated. There've been a few mechanics using that. Sort of hard to tell outside of that, though. The general gist of things, though, seems to be that 2.x end will be sort of the end of an era as far as the meta is concerned, and that they'll probably start branching out into other things. But yeah, I don't think there's much else to talk about as far as Star Rail announcements go. I think that's more or less it for the week. There's a lot more information out there, but it's all from CBT. Occasionally, I see the odd rumor leak out, but I stay away from the major places that are giving chapter and verse on what's going on in the CBT. They're not hard to find that information if you want it, and it
They
is
do like their spoilers.
advisable if you're really, 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 really concerned about your pull economy, but you are going to impede your enjoyment of the story. Because they do not care about spoilers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyway, gone.
I advise staying away from all social media in general on any Hoyo game on principle to begin with, but especially if you're not caught up.
It's not unique to Hoyo, but Hoyo's games do seem to have it a lot worse, where people do not care about spoiling it for other people.
Oh, I mean just in general. I posted a GIF of pretty much the only other thing you'll find regarding.
Let's just call it
Snufflin.
That's not what I was going to go for, but all right.
Hang on,
that's happening.
I will enlighten live show chat, I guess.
Enlighten is also not the word I'd use. Corrupt, possibly.
Why have you done this, Aristeel?
Because I don't go to social media ever, but out of curiosity, I'm like, well, Volmite is always talking about the social medias, and there's a lot of Hoyo this week. Let's poke around the ZZZ Twitters and see what they're all. Oh.
When have I ever said anything positive about it, though?
You never. And you found out why.
Oh, a lot of snuffling of various characters.
You people are degenerates.
Yeah. Just don't.
Yeah. I'm not really that big on any of the characters in ZZZ compared to the Star Rail ones, but I mean, I suppose my only experience with premium ZZZ characters is Caesar, and every interaction that you have with Caesar is outrageously wholesome. Like, she's just a completely naive and wholesome girl.
You
when
are
it comes to
these
to
people
anything like that.
These people probably don't even read the story. They press the start button and they go to the character menu and they see Booby go left and right.
Up, down, and round and round.
Yeah, this is what they think about. You know it's true.
I do know it's true.
Oh, goodness gracious.
The
Gacha
sort of the
players do tend to have a bad case of monkey brain.
The major sort of social link plot thread for Caesar is her continuous attempt to hide her love of romance movies.
Yeah, the fact that she has a crush on Wise. Well, she probably doesn't have a crush on Wise, but in the little music video...
I like to think that the music video was just to wind up the fans that were convinced that she was a lesbian.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, Hoyo can keep winding.
That's a well that will never go dry. And it's always been fun to needle the shippers.
Well, it's especially because there are no straight shippers anymore.
No, that's true.
It's an extinct breed. Like ever since like we hit about 2012, I have not seen a straight shipper because all shippers are girls.
There were heaps of Yanli shippers, Yanqing and Yunli. That's the only exception I've seen in years, but there are lots of people shipping those two.
I see.
But they were sort of made for that, though, and it's canonical that Jing Yuan is totally in on that. based on the whatchamacallit, the board game. Do you remember there's a board game?
Which
The Astral Express board game. There's a
sounds like
little
a
thing with
terrible
Jing
idea.
Yuan in that basically Jing Yuan was always intending to try and set Yanqing up with Yunli.
What's that over there?
And I think that there's actually I think that the alternates in one of the other universes are actually a couple already.
I see. So we have an already established kind of couple.
Kind of. I don't know if that's how it works, but yeah. I've also had to struggle very much with avoiding the impulse to download Honkai 3rd just because Sparkle's going to be in it.
I didn't know you liked Sparkle that much.
I do like Sparkle. I don't know. I don't mean to imply that that's the only reason, but I really want to see how they do the crossover since they are the same universe. I mean, it's really been kept very ambiguous to the extent to which Genshin is the same universe, and there are a lot of things we don't know about what lies just beyond the sky of Genshin.
Literally, as of this latest patch, shadowing.
I mean, you can go and see one of them since 5.0 that's fallen to the ground. They give you zero explanation on why it's there or what it's supposed to do. The only thing we know about it is it does not give you superpowers.
Yeah, it's the kid tries to tell you it will though.
Well, I mean, he's only following the logical fictional trope.
This is true. And then his mama comes and picks him up. Is there a follow up to that?
If there is, it will have been introduced in the last patch, and I haven't had time to.
Yeah,
go looking.
Because I didn't do that quest until this week. I missed it.
Anyway, we'll leave my week there.
It's probably a good time for a break.
Yep, because there's a lot to talk about with Genshin and the latest patch, and all of us have been playing it, so we'll have a lot of spring too. All right, I'm going to mute the mics, and we will be back in just a bit. On break screen. And we're back.
Yours.
Shorter break that time.
That's fine. I'll just teleport up here. We went to the other ley line.
Oh, I was waiting at this one. I was messing with OBS tabbed out. Right. So,
Whoosh.
we have Genshin's latest patch to talk about, which encompasses pretty much all my week. Volvern, y'all got anything left? Because my week's going to be quick, and then we're right into Genshin.
I got nothing.
All right, so my week first thing that happened is I sent at least Vol a picture. I don't know if I sent Fern the picture of the stack of government papers that I have filled out.
You did.
Those are the filled out ones, not the document gathered ones.
Good lord.
I hate the government, and it just keeps getting bigger.
Why?
Well, you have to be really realistic. You need to be very suspicious of anybody who actually likes the government.
Yes.
Yeah, I guarantee you
point.
they don't have to do that paperwork.
Yeah. Well, the point. Why is all your taxation paperwork still physical?
It's not. Well, okay. It is physical in that I have to keep a copy in case I get audited.
Mm.
It is easier to have a physical record because I can just throw it at the IRS agent doing the auditing, and they aren't going to check it as hard. And I'm 100% genuine when I mean it is just to make their life difficult while still technically fitting their rules. They have no rules against physical records, and if I hand a Zoomer a stack of papers that big for just 1 year, let alone the 7 that you're required to give them, whenever you get targeted for an audit, they're going to look at that and go, "All right, good enough," and just let it go.
I couldn't be bothered.
They may give it a cursory look and let it go.
My company is constantly nettled by my compulsive keeping of everything on paper format. I mean, there are lots of drawbacks to paper format. Things can become accidentally destroyed and so on and so forth, but I like paper.
I do. I don't think there's anything sensitive in that picture that I sent. When did I send it? On Tuesday? I think when I had posted the last update on 10/8. Yeah, there's nothing.
Yeah, there might be something sensitive in the picture that I sent you, but you probably wouldn't understand it if you even zoomed in far enough to find out.
Yeah, the text is blurry on mine. But yeah, this top bin is link then because the file's too big because it can't. That's what my my bin looks like. It got cleaned out completely before tax month started. Poor top bin didn't know what was coming.
Tax treason definitely solved that problem.
Yeah, so that's what I've been working on. And I am a chronic sticky noter, and you can see my hieroglyphs on the sticky notes for labeling them, and those took many attempts to get that good. So yeah, that's where we're at. It will keep getting worse. I don't have much more to fill out for the physical paperwork. I have just a bit of document gathering left, and I have to enter junk into QuickBooks, which I'm going to use my forced upon gremlin to help with. And then it'll be off to the CPA and dealing with whatever they point out. But the proactive work should be done at halfway through the month, which is good. And hopefully the reactive work will be done a week early, which will be responding to the CPA. And then I will...
I keep having to mentally adjust QuickBooks to Reckon, by the way, because for some reason in Australia, QuickBooks actually lost the copyright on QuickBooks.
Oh yeah, QuickBooks is it is in the US. It is incredibly not just protected but endorsed by the US government because it's owned by Intuit, who own TurboTax.
Yep, and Wildflower over here. There's always wildflowers.
Always need wildflowers. So. Whopper flowers. Correct thing.
There we go. And chest over there. Whoosh.
So yeah, that's been tax season. It has eaten a good chunk of my free time. So outside of Genshin, the only thing I did was I wrapped up my Blitz through New Game Plus on Final Fantasy 16 to get hard mode unlocked, and I think I'm done.
Fair enough.
Nothing new to talk about with that. It's okay. It's good. In fact, I would say it's a good video game. It just I've already gone to length about the pros and cons of it. And yeah. The one thing about 16 is it showed how much their cast in particular has potential, specifically Clive with the DLCs. And that Clive becomes a much more pronounced and fun character to be around in the DLCs, especially the Leviathan DLC. And the what they figured out they could do with their combat system and the way they rejiggered the Leviathan fight for the new final Archon fight effectively, what it was. Really good job there. And I just love Clive being in the fight because he's dealing with a dominant that is not mentally capable, and is childish. And so when Leviathan sends a big tsunami of different while he's in his icon mode, he's just like, Garuda would be proud. And he just does quips and snarks like this the whole time. And it's a really fun character during the DLC. And it's like, man, if only they had some way to keep this going with this character, that'd be nice. But the nature of that universe kind of means the story's over at the end of the game. And it's not going anywhere. It's a one and doneer.
Yeah.
So
It's
yeah,
kind of a shame, but we've seen what happens when they go the other way, so...
Yeah, the Leviathan power set also showed they could finally figure out a way to really own that combat system and make it fun and unique. And
What, by making you into Hydro Traveler?
Hey, Fly squirt gun is way cooler than Hydro Travelers. At least he gets the whole gun. His arm turns into the Leviathan Mega Buster, for those that don't know.
That's pretty awesome.
It's got Leviathan's head on the end that shoots junk, and it turns into the equivalent of using rocket launchers in Devil May Cry.
Nice. Is that a third rock, or just gotta wait for the respawn?
It's right here.
Ah.
So yeah, that's all I'll go into with that one. There's not a whole lot else to talk about there. And now the main meat of my week, which is going through the latest Genshin patch. Most of this patch is the new MSQ and Zelonin coming out. There is not a whole lot of system changes that have been added. Okay, that's a dang lie. There's a whole lot of system changes that have been added, but most of them we covered last week in the quality of life stuff we said was coming, I should say, is a better way of putting it. And the most handy one I used this week for general system changes is when you go to the dang crafting bench, the alchemy table, you can just select a character, and it will show you only stuff that mushable that is applicable to or currently equipped by that character.
It is so
And
nice.
it will do all the math for you, and it will set the cursor to be at the right place to transmute the right number, etc., etc.
Yeah. It is a very, very handy change. Sorting by artifacts made actually finding pieces that I had given to Kachina that needed to go to Zelonin way easier. I was able to rejigger a few other characters' sets without it being a total headache or taking too much time. Now that it can actually remember stuff. Just general good quality of life improvements that honestly should have been added years ago.
But Genshin could never.
Yeah, but we're finally there. It's finally got it. It's all nice.
They finally got embarrassed enough.
Yeah.
So, next up is the character of Zelonin herself. Zelonin, as we mentioned, is ridiculous. I guess we can go into why. you may have seen us using her, and you may have noticed that we never die. And the reason is when you use her skill, she gets 3 little tokens next to her name that correspond to elements on your team. If 2 of those elements are not Geo, but can react with Geo, and you can use 2 of the same one, so you can have 2 Hydros, for example. When you bop an enemy basically twice with her roller skates, you buff the entire team and give the enemy some nutso 30+% elemental res down for all samplers for every element you have in the in her little icons triangle thing. And this is entirely dependent on party makeup. So that is the biggest reason she's busted number 1. Number 2 is we hinted at it before. This is more for a meta reason than a casual playstyle reason. So going for Spiral Abyss stuff or trying to make hyper carries out of random characters. Her signature weapon is just a flat 25 or 26 to +% damage increase depending on how much you refine the dumb thing. And it can go, I think, all the way up to 50 if you're really feeling like wailing. For the entire party. If you are
Kinda nuts.
yeah, it's insane.
Yeah, if you can keep it up.
Yeah, if you
Problem is that you can't see whether it's up or not ever.
Yeah. So it does have its shoes there. Hopefully that kind of thing gets fixed as well. The other thing is her role condensing. If 2 of those elements are not Geo, Dendro, or Animo in your if 2 party members are not Geo, Dendro, or Animo, Zelonen's ultimate will also trigger a very, very powerful ticking heal, which allows her to act as the sustain effectively for any given team. So you can condense the role of buffer and healer on one team into Zelonen, which lets you take more off-field DPS or run wackier team comps, get proper elemental resonances. Like Hydro always wants a second Hydro. Although you had Barber for that before, I guess, but point stands. She works for Geo characters, and that the samplers still provide a buff for Geo. They just need 2 of them to not be Geo. So she turns Geo characters that might have struggled with damage or needed more help for some godforsaken reason, like Navia, into absolute Mac trucks when they blast things. And she also qualifies by mushing that support role as a Geo character for filling the requirements for Geo resonance, which is kind of difficult normally because there was no Geo sustain before other than Zhongli. So if you just wanted to run one other Geo character and did not want to run the very, very strategy locked mono Geo team, you were kind of SOL and had to give up a team slot to somebody that just happened to be Geo. But Zelonen can fill that requirement by herself. So for Geo characters, she makes the world, your life way easier and your team building way more flexible just by existing. Because now there is a Geo support that can heal and buff.
Unfortunately, she's not Geo specific, so this has knock-on effects to every other team in existence.
Yeah. So
including ones with Nouvelet on them.
Yeah. Which means basically the numbers and percentages on all her buffs are also so cracked, and her healing is nothing to sneeze at all. It's really dang good actually when you get your defense up there. In fact, it's quite insane how much she can heal for all the other crap she does. It has made her basically the best support in the game, no question, for any of the elements that can. And it's not even close. She's probably the closest thing, aside from Nouvelet and Farina, in our playtime of this game that's been released, that has been a must-pull. For almost any account, with very, very few exceptions. So yeah, we pulled for her. Both of us have wanted a Geo sustain forever, for the reason I mentioned before. Neither of us really want to run the mono Geo team, but our girls are Geo, and they need a friend. and if that friend can keep them alive, so we can put elements on the field other than them, because we need to for various reasons. Navia for bullets and Ningguang for shields because she's so squishy. This has been a enabler for the team. We've basically been trying to run without a healer or with a Barbara jankily slotted in there, or an equivalent.
Well,
So
she's always willing and able to fix it.
yeah, and Barbara won't go away. On Dendro teams, Barbara is still better. Dendro gets nothing from Zalonin really, aside from a minor attack buff, I think. But they already want to run Nahida for their damage support, and Barbara or Kokomi or somebody for their healing support. And while that doesn't consolidate the role like Zalonin does, you can run pretty much whatever else you want that works with Geo, or not Geo, with Dendro for your other two slots, and just it'll be K. Because Dendro is cracked for its reactions. It's insane, especially with Nahida. So yeah, that's been Zalonin, and in a nutshell. Also, she's an Atlan character, so she comes with a mobility option that makes exploring way easier. And you've seen me zipping up cliffs occasionally before. She just turns into a jaguar and insta zips up the cliff, just to make her even more valuable for an account. Yeah. So that's and this also means she can interact with all the Children of the Echoes points without needing to inhabit a Fatasaur in that land.
Oh, that's what they're called now, is it?
Bulbasaur.
Yes, apparently.
A Bulbasaur.
Bubba.
So
I still need one more of those insignias.
So yeah, that's Zalonin in a nutshell. I posted a infograph that I guess I will move to. I've taken to making these whenever I do a major Pulseberg. Into live show chat, show you what I got. So started with 22,000 and no pity basically, and oh no, I had 10 pity, and 11 plus 6 intertwined fates because I hadn't bought this month's 5 from the Stardust shop, and was at the end. I basically won the 50-50 at hard pity, got down to 10,800 primos, and I'm back up to almost 14,000. No, I'm at right over 13,000, so I'm at 13.2. Thought I had a little bit more. So yeah, that's where we're at with Zalonin. Paul got you got her
quite close to pity.
Yeah. And then did you have to go how deep did you have to go to get the weapon?
It was relatively close to pity, but not very close. It was like I would have been just touching the soft pity.
Okay.
But I got 2 of them, so it paid off.
Yeah, you had a crazy amount of stocked pulls though. So
yeah, what do I still have left? Let's see. What do I have left? I still have 44,479 primos and 14 wishes.
Yeah, so almost enough to guarantee. And including events in the time, definitely enough to guarantee to. So yeah, that's where we're at with Zalonin pulls. She's been very good. We're goofing around with her this week because she's our new toy. And she'll be mostly helpful for our single player teams, and one of us can drag her along for our multiplayer stuff to just keep the buff up, basically, because it's too much damage not to have the
There's
buff.
A lot of damage, man.
Yeah,
we just wasted that water guy.
Yeah.
Chewy.
Yeah. Well,
those guys are usually a pain in the butt.
Well, any of our characters that are level 90 are going to waffle wop those things, but our Zalonins
well, you can say that, but remember, I didn't build any personal damage into this character. Every spare slot I've got went straight to defense.
Yeah. So I am the only thing I have is a Geo damage goblet. For her personal damage. Because yeah, I wanted a little bit there because while I mostly want the defense for her to act as a sustain in the back row, her having a little bit of personal damage so she's not doing nothing on the field seemed like a good idea.
I
So
mean, that would be great and all, but I don't have good Geo Goblets, I'm afraid.
yeah, so I think I'm using like the Elemental Mastery sets Geo Goblet. Yeah, the goblet is that piece. Every Hoyo game has at least one that piece, and yeah, getting good goblets is hard. So yeah, that's Zelonin. She's going to be a meta shaker that is going to work the discussion of this game around her because she exists.
You mean she's going to cement Nouvelette's position at the top of the meta?
Yeah,
Yes.
because Hydra can be react with Geo. So yeah, there's no two ways about it that Nouvelette's numbers are so wackadoodle overtuned that he will probably remain the top dog until Conria comes out.
Until end of service.
Yeah, like you just, I don't know how they got to test him with those numbers. Especially because I think it scales with HP too, so he never dies. So yeah, that's going to be there forever. But you're going to see a lot of meta discussion about Zelonin. She can do a whole lot of things for your account and your team, and it basically comes down to ignore the internet. Everybody on the internet is going to tell you there's a specific way to use her and what to use her for, but she fits so well into so many team comps, except for the Dendro comps, that you can basically use her however the heck.
I'm here to tell you that there's nobody saying that she should be used with Ningguang.
Yeah, yeah.
I rolled her exclusively for that because, like, it was that or Zhongli, and Zhongli didn't come out. Like, there was no better. So
Your girl Farina just sent us a birthday gift. No.
she did.
She
I
did.
did notice this. Farina really grew on me, but mostly after her story. Like, she was pretty much just a girl failure throughout most of her story. But she really grew on me after the fact.
Yeah. Nahida
She's a cake.
grew on me really quick because she wasn't Raiden Shogun.
Well,
And
I
she was
think that Raiden Shogun didn't really have a story until her event. Like, her event just screams this really should have been part of the main plot.
uh-huh.
But yeah.
Yeah. So far in the main plot, Raiden Shogun's basically been this big thing on the horizon.
Yeah, and in a certain way that turns out to be appropriate, but yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of problems there, more than we can sum up quickly, I think.
Yeah. So so yeah. Natlane characters are coming out. They're all fun. We get reruns in the second half of this banner of Nahida and Hu Tao. Nahida is, even with the upcoming buffs to other reactions, I still think Nahida is going to be very valuable to have as a tool in the toolbox for any given account if you don't have her already. I'm thinking
She's just too much of a force multiplier for Dendro. If you're using Dendro reactions, her influence on the team as a whole simply, but even if you restricted her to just the amount of stats she passes along, it's very meaningful.
Yeah, just
and I think that it will. I think that it will range beyond. I think that EM will range beyond just Dendro though, based on the new coefficients that they're adding for Shatter and that. I think that it might end up affecting other reactions as well. Like even Overload is getting buffed, although it's only by a small amount compared to the others.
Yeah,
Because Overload needs to be really, really powerful. A lot of people don't understand this, but Overload needs to be excessively powerful because you can basically only land it once, and then your entire group that you've gathered up scatters.
Yeah, it's
forces you to spend all your time working on CC to make Overload teams work, and most Overload teams aren't compatible with that because they involve Chivrus.
Yeah. So yeah, them buffing Overload considerably will help, but it scales off EM pretty hard. And Nahida just, even if you don't want the Dendro part of her kit, all you have to do is pop the Matrix and put her away. Matrix doesn't do any Dendro anything. It's just an EM buff, basically. A damage and EM buff. So, it's a massive one, too, for the entire party. and helps Nahida share even more of her stats with the party. So yeah, she's just too good of a tool not to have if you don't have her. In any account, I think Nahida is a great investment because she just opens up so many avenues for team building. You have
I'm about 80% sold on pulling for Nahida. I'm only about 50% sold on pulling for her weapon.
yeah, her weapon. I have it. It's one of the 2 weapons that I got. It's a giant wall of text that basically adds. It does the Zilonin type of thing, but portion of the damage provided to the party uh, is split between just raw elemental damage and EM, depending on the party composition, and it is conditional which one is favored, and it's permanently active instead of needing to be set up. So it is a very, very good weapon. It's also a elemental mastery weapon, which Nahida wants to gobble up all the EM she can possibly get because she party, and it affects all of her other stats. Having EM, it just transforms into every other stat from crit damage to attack. So it's to a point where elemental mastery is probably preferred on her goblet now. It's the spreadsheet says it's equal to Dendro damage, even though she does a non-insignificant amount of Dendro damage from her skill, and even when she's off field. So
Well, the real question is her signature so much better than Mapamare that you have to pull for it?
it's a solid, at minimum, and worst case, 10% damage to the rest of the party, just passively forever. And depending on how much value they can get out of the elemental mastery, it can turn into a lot more. The rest of its value is going to be determined entirely by how much your team.
Yeah, I'm kind of interested in it, but I feel like by the time Kanria comes out, Dendro team dominance will be deprecated a little bit.
It also, you can always just wait and see how the Nahida pulls go. If they went really, really well, and you just want to make sure you have a Nahida that can rock and turn Dendro on for you, yeah, you can grab a weapon. If not,
I mean,
you can
if
work
I
with
have
base
to go
Nahida.
to, if I have to go to like double hard pity for Nahida, I'm not pulling for that weapon. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's not worth it in that case. But if you get her early, and the only problem with pulling for Nahida's weapon on this banner in particular is the other weapon is, I don't think, very flexible. Nahida's weapon is flexible. You can dump it on basically any catalyst user that wants EM.
Is it Hu Tao's weapon?
Yeah.
No, Hu Tao's weapon is used on like every polearm carry.
Okay, so hers isn't a hyper specific one. It can be used generically.
Well, it can't quite be used generically, but it's a good option for a lot of things. But only if you're a polearm carry person.
Okay. So that's
I don't think I've got any polearm carries.
Yeah. Well, Jiangling can use it, probably. But give it to Guoba.
Give it to Guava.
So yeah, that's what we got for the upcoming banners, and the main attraction being this patch being the new Archon Quest. This Archon Quest goes hard. I don't think we want to spoil it yet, but
No.
This is brand new and Fern's here and he hadn't done it. But man, general impressions are I really like this chapter of the Archon Quest, especially the second part. Although that's not to say chapter 3 wasn't bad. It was still good.
Dark main.
Paimon's voice actress killed it this patch.
I don't know what the English one was like, but the Japanese was also extremely good. Like generally speaking, the voice acting was next level. But Paimon's voice actress did an excellent job, and Citlali's voice actress also did an excellent job. Like, I feel like Citlali was basically one of the most vividly written and performed characters in the entire game, I think, in the Japanese.
Yeah. She wasn't bad in English, but English Paimon was such a standout this patch that it's hard to bring up any of the other voice acting with her stealing the show like she did, especially in chapter 4 when you're on the hot
it
air
was
balloon.
definitely extremely strong in the Japanese as well. Very, very strong.
Yeah, and they
I honestly can't say any aspect of that performance could have been done better. Like I can't think of anything.
yeah, it's the same for the English with Paimon. I think it's as good as you can do. It's some of the best dub work I've ever heard.
Considering where Paimon started, it's quite an accomplishment.
That's
actually.
quite the journey as in your voice acting career.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I think that in no small part though, it's also because the situation that has to be acted is so vivid.
and so stark in contrast to the rest of the game.
When 5.0 came out, everybody was like, "Lol, Nation of War, lol."
Yeah, there are without getting into specifics, there are a lot of corpses in
Oh my.
like you, and they don't aside from the blood and gore of it, it's not censored. You see all of them.
Shit hits the fan. Like it's not the summer vacation we signed up for.
And
Like this is why I keep saying that Netland is like Dawn Trail except good.
Yeah.
Because it's the same premise, right? It's a vacation in Central America and everything goes horribly wrong.
yeah, I did not know this about the quest, but when I went to go see other people's reactions to it, there is a list of names depending on your choices of NPCs, some of which you met in chapter 1 and chapter 2 who are just dead now because you didn't get to them.
Yeah, and you can't get to everybody.
Yeah,
You're prevented from doing so. You choose who lives and who dies, and you don't really know that that's what's happening until it's all over.
yeah, at least one region will be just totally decimated by the end of it, with NPCs you knew in the obituary log just gone. And they're not Disney gone, we can bring it back. You may think that with the way the night kingdom works. They make it very explicit that anyone that died during the event before the end of the story is dead. Like they're not coming back. That's it.
The dead.
Yeah, they are super dead.
It's rough. It's rough. But this is just more of like, you know, Hoyo has been good eating for RPG fans. It really has been. Like they are supplying what the other companies are failing to supply right now. And you can make a lot of valid points about the evils of gacha and so on, and the fact that they're, you know, a CCP adjunct that is preying on gambling tactics to make lots of money. But the fact is they are supplying a mountain of quality product.
Yeah. And the Netland story.
All that other stuff, really, it's up to you how much you want to engage with it.
Well, you can't really not engage with the fact the game is part of the CCP apparatus. Just us talking about it and giving it airtime is...
The question really there is, though, is it so much worse having the CCP spy on you versus having the CIA spy on you? Like, I'm pretty sure that the Western intelligence apparatus is more hazardous to my existence and that of my family than the Chinese one is.
At least
Probably.
the Chinese one is honest.
The Chinese one, like, well, I mean, spying is what we do. We're an enemy nation. Of course we're spying on you. The Western powers pretend to be your friend.
Yeah.
And then stab you when you're not looking.
So yeah, there is that. And that we focused on just now on the chapter 4 of the Archon quest, but that's not to sell anything about that massive lore dump all over chapter 3 and how they set you up by it being a much lighter in comparison chapter than what's coming.
I was actually really surprised that they like all the rumors suggest that Citlali is a 4-star, and I was really surprised that they sold her so hard. Like her performance and her writing is just immaculate in the Japanese. Like every nuance of her character, down to the very finest expressions, is just performed with perfect clarity by her voice actress. Like she's just an impossible not to like character.
There's a ton of stuff up here for you to come get, Fern.
I've just got the last insignia I needed, so I can ascend, evolve, whatever, Bennett.
Yeah. And once you've done
There's
that,
also Curious here somewhere.
yeah, you should come near us. On top of Culus, there are multiple treasure chests all over the place that we've unlocked. And
Every time I take my eyes off you guys, you unlock a whole bunch of treasure chests.
well, we just kind of are roller skating around and find stuff.
Roaming around at the speed of sound, perhaps?
Kind of.
Kind of.
But yeah, it's fun to roll around with the roller skates. I do like how Zelonin does the Yakuza coat throw when she gets on her roller skates. Like, she takes her coat off. Her coat leaves her model, so you can see the the tattoos going onto her back. And it just magically reappears.
His coats are like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
Like, because
Totally
I
have
after playing this chapter of the
is.
story, like if Sislali had been a 5-star, I would have abandoned all pulling plans to pull for her.
yeah, it's
I just liked her that much.
well, they haven't been shy with their 4-star characters basically since Fontaine. Fremine didn't get as much focus, but he was still quite in the story quite a bit. And we had Kachina, who opened us in Natlan, running alongside Mualani as a 4-star. Probably,
Well, that's sort of a special case.
yeah,
Because she was an introduction to a core mechanic for an entire zone.
yeah. So them giving a lot of attention to 4-stars isn't too out of their recent behavior. But yeah, Sitlali, she was fun. The only problem I have with her in English is the timing is a bit off. The acting itself is fine, but it just doesn't quite sync as well as Japanese voice acting does to the style of humor that she uses. Because it doesn't.
Well, the thing is that her voice, like her voice pacing, part of why I liked her voice acting so much is her voice pacing is very erratic. Like, that's purposeful. It works very well in the Japanese though, because you can feel her sort of alternating between drifting a little bit and then scrambling to catch up to what she was really trying to say over and over. Like, she has all of the sort of the weird vocal tics of somebody who's poorly socialized.
Yeah, I get.
But it's all quite purposeful, and you can. She's sort of like her delivery in Japanese is sort of like if Tosaka Rin was a total autist. Is basically that's the way she's delivered. It's worked really. It's performed extremely well.
Yeah,
It's very unique as well. It's not like the delivery that any other characters do. It's very unique to her. Like, she does not template onto any other character in the game very well at all. Like, most of the other characters is like, oh well, this is the Shalonen is your laid back big booby One-san character, etc. That's fairly it's a fairly standard archetype, but Citlali's really isn't. There's nobody else who speaks and acts quite like she does.
Yeah, that's another point. Is Zelonin, her English voice is the weakest of the new voices this patch. And
I feel like the Japanese is executed very well, but it's not very distinctive. It's the correct voice for the character, but it doesn't have much that's very its own.
Yeah, Zelonin's English voice gives me the over-directed vibe. Like, they clearly had somebody on staff this patch to force a tone.
Too groomed to sound natural.
Yeah, it's because the tone is so consistent through every single line she says, and the inflection is the same every time, almost regardless of the situation. It just sounds really stilted whenever she talks. And so in English, she doesn't do as hot. But I think this might just be a product of they knew what was coming and had the director really going ham in house this patch because of what goes on in the main story. This is totally speculation. I don't have any way to verify or deny this. It's just a feeling I got. So yeah. What else with the main story actually talk about? Sitlali would be Venti's best friend. Was the thought I immediately had once we crossed the threshold in the story.
She's a
I still
useless
have not
lazy
worked
duck.
out how old she is.
I think she gives like 3 different ages by accident.
No, she never gives her specific age. She uses descriptions of ages that she is not regularly. But she doesn't ever tell you how old she actually is. There are a couple of situations where she implies that she's been around for a long time. In one case, for some decades, but is very non-specific about the number of decades. Like it's definitely long enough that she's in the hags category, as the meme would have it. But it's not very clear exactly how old she is, and that's probably purposeful.
I think that's part of the joke with her.
Especially considering, like, it's impossible not to fall head over heels for her. She's just such a wonderful character.
Well, she's also the only character in the series. She is the most comedy upplayed character with her facial expressions. Probably because of what's coming next chapter after her chapter.
Yeah, it's carried really well on the vocals. Like, by contrast to your description of Shalonen's English vocals, in Japanese, her speaking is basically, I think, probably the most natural acting of any character in the game. There are some parts done by Farina in the Japanese that are very good also, but it's sort of hard to tell because she hams it up naturally, like that's sort of her job. So it's sort of hard to tell how well it's being executed based on the directions. But Citlali's acting in the Japanese is wonderful. It's really, really done well, and it's got a lot of roughness to it that is more like natural speaking and not very groomed. But it's executed in a precise way that makes it clear that it's not just like poor acting or anything like that. Oh
Yeah.
no, there's a fatty over here.
A fatty.
Kick him with our rollerblades.
Until it flies up in the air and we can't get it down.
Got shockwave. So yeah. For the story structurally, it's good. The big thing I wasn't expecting was a lore dump that big, right before the major event, where they just have you go talk to one of the characters that has quite a few of the answers of the universe and can ask it a whole bunch of lore important questions.
I was really not happy with their use of the word angel, because it doesn't really seem to jive with the original language very well. Like, I'm not really sure how I would describe the Japanese word, but angel is not quite correct. And furthermore, angels as conceived of in the English language are sort of explicitly sort of, the being of pure intellect type of creature that you find in particularly Christian lore regarding the order of being, not the same as it would occur in, say, even in Islam or Judaism. It's not quite the same thing. It's nearly, but not quite the same. But the what informs the word angel in the English language is the Christian conception thereof, and it just doesn't quite match what they're doing there. If anything, the Tolkien version of angels matches a little bit better than Maya, but of course you can't use that since it's not a generic word. But I'm not really sold on their translation there, especially since there's not an equivalent. You know that it was written in Chinese. You know that the Japanese follows the Chinese and the other East Asian languages follow that. You know that they don't have that concept in their culture, so it can't possibly be the correct translation.
Yeah. Well, they do have a lot of foreign culture inspiring the greater cosmology in terms of language that they use. I know what you mean, because it seems like the specific
The
use
word
of the
in the Japanese wasn't angel either. That's the thing. It's very like angel, but it's not quite the same thing. At least that's my impression of it. My Japanese is great.
yeah, because like the major lore stuff for this game draws a whole lot on Scandinavian stuff, especially.
Well, the Scandinavians don't have angels either.
No, they don't.
People often liken Valkyries to angels, but they're not the same thing. They're not even remotely related.
Yeah, and because and it's a it's a bit odd for a word choice. I do agree. I did not seem like it was probably
I can see why the decision was made, but it's the sort of decision that you make when you have drawn a superficial parallel without any clear evidence that that's the way the story will go. Like, angels are naturally angels as conceived of in the Western mind, they occupy a particular position in the hierarchy of being, right? That is, they are not pure actuality, but they don't have material substance. Only God is purely actual. Humans are material. Angels are immaterial, but not purely actual. They're more actual than material beings, but they're less actual than God. That's what they are, and as such, they serve a variety of roles as sort of intellective instruments of the will of God. They aren't fairies, which is sort of kind of the way they use them in Eastern writing,
yeah.
like sort of like fairy servants.
I could see a Californianite, because remember, you and me have grown up in church and have a more nuanced understanding of things that have to do with Christianity, like angels. The Californianite probably thinks that angels are literally a physical thing with feathers that come out of the sky and do stuff.
I think that they're the spirit healer in World of Warcraft.
Pretty much. So they probably did not check it because everybody else in the office thought that.
I don't know. It might turn out to be one of those things that, in retrospect, it fits really well. Sometimes it's like that, and then they'll take credit for having got it right all along. But it doesn't really seem that way. It does sort of. It's, the way that it seems to work is that they're kind of like a lower subordinate pantheon of sorts. Like angels conceptually only work very well at all as an idea in monotheism. They don't really work outside of that because a hierarchy of being has to be a pyramid kind of thing. But yeah, they make it very clear that there are sort of, and this is one of those things that Hoyo has historically gotten in a lot of trouble for poor translation when tripping over their own law. It's not really clear what the sort of the order of authorities is here. Like it seemed to me that they were implying that the the power that is most instrumental in Natlan is actually the same power that you're fighting in the starting cutscene of the game as a whole.
The sustainer of heavenly principles or unknown god.
Yeah, but you know the heavenly principles are also personified, but they're also implied to not be the same thing as the gods themselves. And they draw Natlan seems to be very intent on drawing a very bright line between gods and things that are not gods as well.
Yeah, there are actual divinities. From what I could tell from the bit of extra lore reading, is there are 4 fragments of divinity, and the major one that's being invoked by Mavuika is the fragment of death at the and the personification that comes with that, because it has a personality and a pseudo will of its own, and the heavenly principles themselves, whether that be just a set of rules or a actual being, is not too happy with them because of what conversation that happens at the very end of the MSQ. Because
So hold on. What? So shades is what you're describing as fragments.
yeah, yeah, I think that's the
So
term they use.
so where does Decarabian fit?
I'm no. Remind me who that is again. I'm having brain farts.
I
Names.
don't really know how to describe it. Decarabian is sort of like the most powerful actor prior to the current timeline.
I do not know. But
His name is basically not mentioned after Mondstadt.
yeah, I know that a name like that exists, but me with names is terrible for ones that far back.
So remember all of the sort of like the quote true names unquote of the major major power players are all from the Asgoetia, right?
Yeah.
And Decarabian is one of those, except he's implied in Mondstadt to be way higher in power than the others, in the sense that all of the others had to go to war to beat him.
Yeah. Let me check here. Pulling up a thing.
Because the Archons always talk about the heavenly principles as being the tier above them, but they already fought the tier above them in order to establish their predominance in Tevat.
Yeah, I do not know where Decarabians, because there's also a lot of things they call gods in Inazuma as well. With like the Orochi, the big snake thing that is on the last island, the Orobashi or whatever. And
There's a lot of issues with translations of Hoyoverse that really reared their head in Honkai Third, especially when they made Honkai Star Rail. It became very evident how many problems there were because the localization team used the word for universe interchangeably with the word for galaxy.
oh dear.
Those are two completely different things.
Like your boy here, Guoba is a god, or was a god before the Archon War.
Now he's a potato who eats chilies.
But there's also heaps of like gods that were gods but don't seem to be around anymore because they were defeated, or that seem to have been very, very minor powers that barely even qualify as gods. Like remember the god of salt?
Yeah, the one in Zhongli's quest that just was trying to hide and or whatever at the end. But this girl thought she was super powerful, and Zhongli's like, nah, she was.
Yeah, I kind of wish that they'd spent a little bit more time on Zhongli's lore or bringing Zhongli back, because it seems to be very heavily implied that he was like the heavy hitter of heavy hitters amongst the gods.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with Zhongli, is he's one of the few characters who can give us direct answers for all the stuff that went down during like the time of the Archon Wars and stuff, and so they need to use him sparingly.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is that they've got lots of excuses that to leave gaps though, because he is undergoing erosion. Remember?
Yeah,
because he's the oldest thing on Tevat.
yeah. So he's there is that, but yeah, it's but either way, you do get
Basically, they gave us the opportunity to interrogate a demigod, and we get a lot of unhelpful information that is still full of lore.
yeah, that's you do get but yeah,
I feel like the game has buried the lead a little bit on the uh the importance of ley lines to the abyss specifically.
yeah,
Like
I
that,
won
because the whole Loom of Fate thing seems to be positioned kind of orthogonally to the abyss's actual actions on the ley lines.
yeah, and the lack of information on the ley lines that's provided to the player, at least during the main story, maybe it's buried somewhere in a book or a
Like
or a
there's
side
so many
story.
books. Like I don't know about you, but I didn't spend heaps of time in the Mondstadt Favonius Knights library.
Over multiple days for multiple book spawns. Yeah, no, me neither. But it's there might be something in there. There's so many side quests in this game. I haven't even done them all, and I've put the most time in it of all of us. Like they could have stuff buried there, I suppose. But
It's hard to overestimate. It's hard to overstate how much writing goes into these Hoyo games. Like, I've spent a lot of time reading books in Star Rail, and I have not read a tiny fraction of them. There is so much just raw text there, both from a writing and a translation point of view. Is a Herculean task.
yeah, this is why I have the writable rule in Star Rail, where if it does not grab me right away, or it looks like it's going to take me too long, the book gets put away. I may
I mean,
get to it later.
some of them are quite compelling, like the one about how the what's her name, the woman who sells out to the Sanctus Medicus.
Yeah, well, that one seemed
her
more
story.
important, so I had to sit down and read that one.
But like that just shows that they do often contain compelling writing, and sometimes they just contain sort of like completely batshit mental spasms. Like, did you read any of the content from that sort of weird hallway which just recedes into redness in Penacony in the hotel?
Oh, I think I skimmed it. I recall something
It's
like
just a
this.
whole bunch of like weird fragmentary thoughts
Yeah,
that are very bizarre.
yeah. Just it was
And
total
then you can
insanity.
sort of like you can turn it in as a sort of a cursed item to the bloodhounds later.
Yeah. This rings a bell.
Hello, hello,
Yeah, can you not hear me?
hello, hello. I can't
Yeah,
hear
we can hear
anything.
Can
Uh-oh.
Fern, can you hear me?
I
Is
still
something-
can't hear anything.
I can hear Ari and Vol.
Okay.
Momentarily, I thought I heard some roboting, but now I don't hear anything.
Balls
Beep
in,
boop.
Somebody say something in the chat.
something. Hang on, I'll type to you.
Yeah. Just something's gone bang. Hang on a second, guys.
I see my ping has spiked to 5,000.
Oh no, the Discord.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is Discord doing a Discord by the sound of it.
Yeah. So his down ping got eaten by something.
And we're back down to 162.
Okay. Can
Okay,
you
you back?
hear us now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
there
just
you
been,
go.
my ping spiked up to 5,000 for a little bit, and now it's back down to normal. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. Your upstream
Yeah.
was fine. It was only your downstream because we heard you talking just fine.
It's been
Yeah.
mine not chewing on the power lines or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I got a bug steely though.
You stuck.
Yeah, or I just desynced from Genshin.
Oh, I'll come help you find him. Sometimes if another player can see something in video games, that fixes it. But yeah. So yeah.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, the big thing is they dump a ton of the greater picture of what's going on in this patch, including during the big mega event in chapter 4, where you can literally
Well, but the thing is that they give you a bunch of lore, and then they render all that lore as sort of sub lore because there's clearly stuff going on that just nobody knows about.
yeah. So this oh, he's not bugged. You just need to solve the puzzle.
Oh, well, they just started moving again now, so.
Yeah, you had to.
Because he was trying to get into this Sale court that wasn't available because there was a rock on top of it that has to be smashed by resonance with this thing.
Yeah, you
Unfortunately, they fixed the bug that allows you to crash the server by using Ningguang.
oh, but if you hit it at the same time with multiple jades, does it wig out or something?
No, you can hit it and then you can bounce it off your jade screen, and the jade screen will bounce it back, which will hit it again, which will then bounce off and hit your jade screen,
Oh,
etc.
and create infinite.
And then the server crashes.
Given its
Yeah, it was a few
Ningguang, she may have
it was
completely, absolutely intended to do that.
It was a bug a few versions back. It was very popular,
Yeah,
but not with the devs.
Yeah, you welcome to the hole.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't go much further this way for now.
You're not going to get story spoilers on the surface of the hole. So you can run around here and check a few things. And in fact, I don't think you can really spoil yourself anyway. You need a Geo to resonate. No, you can just punch. You need
heavy weapon works.
But if you have Geo constructs, you can place them in the path of these shockwaves, and they will send out a shockwave as well. So, like for this one,
they act as relays.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, Vulcan whip his green out.
I don't know where the central one is. I don't know if it's going to get close enough. No, I've got to get. Yeah, there we go.
I got it.
Yeah. So you can do that.
It looks like a few of these puzzles require a geoconstruct of some kind.
There are a few that do
It's got
require
Geo
one.
Traveler. That's what they're assuming.
Yeah, a few of them do require you to have somebody that can make a Geo thing. So I wonder if hang on, Fiori's doll work floats.
Maybe.
Well, I think it's assumed that the shockwaves are in 3 dimensions, but
Nope.
Nope.
it
It
doesn't.
Nope.
does not.
But I got a second doll from something. Oh, you popped a barrier.
They made it destroy the barriers to prevent it from infinitely recursing.
Yeah, so the dolls do not work because they float too high.
I don't know if they made it so destroys Zhongli's pillar or not, but
Yeah,
Probably.
probably because it would
Yeah.
incur a similar effect if you put it close enough.
This is the whole.
at any rate, they decided to finally pay off. I guess I'll call him Jeff. Jeff's comment about the sky.
Yeah, yeah. The skies of Tevat are not real. Yeah, they. You get to see exactly what they meant by that.
That's what I was looking for.
So yeah, that's gonna be something we explore presumably either in, I don't know when we'll get to it. They seem to be finally moving on the myth arc stuff for this entire everything.
Well, I mean, they're sort of running out of elemental nations at this point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. After
I
we do the
mean,
elemental nations, do we go to space or not
I mean,
space?
they've also done the lore drop about phlogiston is basically unrefracted elemental energy.
Yeah. So it's they've got they're just finally moving on. We don't really know what parts are going to be important, but the important thing is they're finally getting around to answering these things that have been part of the lore forever and have just kind of not gotten any development or any movement on them. So now they finally have to solidify some of these things and pick a direction they're going with it, which is very
They
interesting.
didn't solidify the Azure lore.
Yeah, yeah. I
Agile.
I think I
His
think
law is he's a craphead. Done.
well, that's his personality. But why does he look like a pixel dragon?
Mm.
Better not be a Topaz situation. We better find out.
Just Topaz. It's just cause.
Speaking of, if you played in English this patch, you may have noticed that 3 characters don't make any noise. And
I don't play in English.
so the ones that were hit were Kachina, Kanish, and Agile. And the reason they don't make any noise, because all their voice actors are part of the union.
Yeah. Incidentally, apparently Barbara's voice actor is in hospital or something as well.
I think I remember hearing something about that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
the issue is that there's an ongoing
Oops.
union strike regarding contracts, and I can almost sympathise with them this time, since
Almost.
the issue is that the studio that those particular people are with is being a holdout in terms of like ownership. Their ownership clauses of their contracts do not prevent their studio from using harvested voice clips to generate an AI to replace the actor with.
Okay, yeah, that's something that needs to really get sorted out.
Yeah.
And the strike is over rehabilitating the contracts. Now, Paimon is in there because Paimon's voice actress went through a lot of effort to get transferred to another studio with better contracts.
Oyo had to step in and help her. Like, yeah,
It was apparently an incredibly arduous and painful legal process too.
yeah, and that one I
I can
think was
imagine.
actually started because they just weren't paying Paimon.
Ironically.
Like the girl just didn't get her money, and so being Paimon, she could not stand for this.
Yes.
So yeah,
I'm glad she's in a better place then, at least.
yeah, she's at a sister company, and I think Farina's voice actress actually went and started their own English voice acting company.
I don't even know if Farina sounds like an English.
Yeah. So yeah, that's an ongoing thing. But what this means is specifically with Genshin. I do not think they use this studio for ZZZ. I don't think any of the actors are part of a studio that is currently being struck for ZZZ, and I do not think Star Rail is either. But Genshin has quite a few actors that are using this studio, and it means that basically until the strike ends, there will be less and less voice acting available from for Genshin from anybody that uses the studio. And so this is going to impede the product. Maybe by the time Fern gets to Natland, they will have retroactively patched Kachina, Kanish, and Aja's voices into the story. And
Oh, okay. So they've got
Something
lines
everybody
they're just not
wants is
voiced.
more Azure.
There's a hilarious point in the story where Paimon asks while you're surfing on a spirit vein in the big climax of the thing if Mavuika could just mute Aja, and she's just like done. And goes,
Yes.
thank you, Mavuika.
Azure is basically a rip-off Digimon. He is a mouthy little jerk.
And it's double funny in English right now because Aja's already muted.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah,
was
when of all people, Paimon is complaining that you're yapping too much.
you need to reevaluate some things in your life. So yeah.
I found some no guys.
So yeah, I got a particular chuckle out of that. But yeah, and
Oh, I did.
how about mechanically? As much as we can talk about the climax of chapter 4, though, of the whole setup, where they force you to slow down and see all the terrible going on. And
The only criticism I have is that corpses have collision.
yes, I had Mualani as a character, and they made a whole bunch of mechanical changes to Mualani to make the Sharky bite better. So, the ultimate Sharky still goes off into Narnia, but at least bite seems to be about twice as accurate as it was before. This does not matter if there's a dead corpse in the way that's going to block Sharky.
Yeah, I ended up putting a lot of Yaimiko totems on the same spot.
Yeah. So, other than that, and there are quite a few corpses in the last few zones you get to. I liked every bit of it. I have glanced in my periphery. There are people that are mad about how long the hot air balloon takes. I'm like, do you understand the point of this scene?
Yeah, they only make you do it like 3 times in grand total throughout the entire sequence.
Yeah, and the point of this scene is to emphasize how bad things are.
Yeah, and that it's everywhere. That it's
Yeah.
not just in one local area. It's
Yeah.
to give you a sense of the scope of the problem.
Everybody is being murderized is the point, and there is no safe place to retreat to.
Yeah, there is just so much dead by the sound of it.
Yeah, it is.
Like, things go really, really bad.
Yeah. Well, you are told repeatedly in Act 1, in the opening and in Act 1 of the story, and in Act 2, that it's going to get bad, and it's going to get bad soon, and then it finally does. And
yeah, they didn't want this to be one of those looming threats that never materializes.
Yeah, it's just the way that Hoyo of all people depicted it is what's so shocking here.
Yeah, and they're a Chinese company. They're not even allowed blood.
Yeah, they do this all without gore, showing you just how bad this is. And yeah, the obituary at the end really sold it to me for how well thought out this whole chapter was. Like I think one of the people that can die is the you remember the dude in chapter 2 who helps you find a character's ancient name to bring him back, and it's real sad because his friend died a long time ago. Like if you don't get to the canopy in time, that dude's dead.
Yeah, I think he might be dead in my game because I basically didn't go to the canopy at all.
Yeah,
until it was all too late.
I got there last, so everybody in the canopy's dead. So yeah. For those that want to play it in English, you are lucky in that the 3 characters that are muted are not the central focus this time around. And the important one being Paimon is not muted, so you get all.
I think that the thing that had the most punch. This is a silly thing, but the thing that had the most punch to me was just hearing the Traveler just speak extemporaneously to Paimon because she can tell Paimon's about to fall apart.
Yeah, like when Paimon is actually about to lose her mind, the Traveler speaks without you making any input. Like usually when the Traveler speaks, it's rare, and I think in almost every other instance, you've selected a dialogue choice, even if it was just one option, for the Traveler to say something.
Yeah.
This time, the Traveler speaks completely on their own to Paimon to say, "It's going to be okay. We'll get through this." That's how bad it is. So it's worth it getting to it. You do not skip any of the game before you get to it because it will cheapen the experience. But when you do get to it, we're moving in a fun direction for the story. They're finally moving. And drunk sit lolly is fun right beforehand. Very drunk sit lolly.
Oh dear.
I just wandered in.
It appears that she prophesies while drunk.
Yeah.
I'm very curious as to to find out whether any of her gobbledygook actually means anything.
Yeah, I don't remember most of the specifics of her yapping, but I do remember there was yapping.
There is a word that has really outstayed its welcome lately.
It's one of the Zoomerisms that I am less offended by. So I
Well,
will.
that's because it's not really a Zoomerism; it's just a revival of an older word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this Archon quest. All the system changes are good. Zalonin, for our teams in particular, on a personal level, is very handy. For the greater health of the game, remains to be seen. But
New Valletta's already put a nail in that coffin.
Yeah, but yeah, overall great patch. Fun new character put out. I'll have to decide if I just want to make Zalonin really OP and double down on the Navia team, or if I want to save up and try and hit because I'll have a banner break the next one because I don't want Hutao. I like Hutao, but I don't want to pull for her.
I like Hu Tao, but what I'm concerned about is Chaska's coming, and Chaska might be the opportunity where they decide to put Sitlali in as well, and I can't see how I can not pull for her, and she'll
Yeah.
probably be a 4-star, so I'm gonna be forced to to try and gamble.
Yeah.
I hate how hard it is to get 4 stars in this game compared to 5 stars. At least 5 stars you can target.
Yeah, and Sitlali is possible she could turn out to be very important, or just a good Animo unit we could scoop.
She's not Animo. She's Cryo.
Cryo, okay, or a good Cryo unit we could scoop.
Even better.
Well, I'm sort of hoping that she'll be like off-field Cryo or something, and that she'll be sort of like the 4-star entry to a new Shatter meta that actually functions.
Yeah. So yeah, that could be handy for us. Or if and then eventually we will get the Pyro Archon, and we will almost certainly want to Archon because it's an Archon.
Yeah, nobody has any idea. Even the people in CB2 don't have any idea exactly how Mavweek will work.
Yeah, but historically, skipping on Archons ever since the Zhongli buff after his release has been a bad idea.
Yeah, they're always cracked.
Yeah, like Nahida makes Dendro teams go. Farina is the only support that can give Zalonin a run for her money. Like,
Raiden Shogun is still the champion of energy regen, isn't she?
Yeah, not to mention off-field Electro application. Like, and then Zhongli is, well, he's Zhongli. Venti, even though
they introduced an entire mechanic to undermine Zhongli because he made teams immortal.
Yeah. Then you have Venti, who, even though he's the one that has held up the least well, he's still ridiculous. Oh, you got the Kanish.
I got the Kanish.
Rock. So yeah, that's
Pew 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 pew. Pew pew.
Yeah.
The rock is not going to respond no matter how hard you hit it.
Okay, done. I only had to tap it once with a bit of dendro, and that was all it needed.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it's a bad idea to skip on Archons in general because Mavlika, we don't know. She could be off-field Pyro. She could be the first on-field Archon. Don't know.
Yeah, I have a sneaking suspicion she's going to synergize with Kanich in a big way.
I
Oh.
have a funny feeling she's going to be Dea except remade.
I mean that'd be fine. Dea has
Also, yes.
potential. She just doesn't have good numbers, and her kit is really wonky with a whole lot of animation lock.
So yeah, I'm thinking sort of like off-field, on-field hybrid, sort of like Raiden Shogun except for Pyro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that'd be fine too. It's but either way, skipping on her will almost certainly be a bad idea. And because now we have invested in, all of us have a 5-star Nat Lane character now, that'll be on our team a lot. Nat Lane characters do much better with more Nat Lane characters on the team for more Night Soul Birds.
Oh. That's a Dendroculus up there. We have wandered a fair way off course.
Yeah, about to say we've been in Sumer for a
Weren't
while.
we in
my
the
dude.
hole a second ago?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was still
Yeah, we're
running
in
around the hole.
Sumeru.
I was still wandering around the hole, and then noticed y'all were this way, and then just kind of followed the path y'all took, and wound up in Sumeru.
Yeah, so okay, we're in Sumeru now.
Yeah, you've been in Sumeru for a while. You're pretty deep,
Can
actually.
you find this boy a statue of the 7?
I think we walked past one on the way through.
Oh,
We did.
Yeah, there's the first one that you run by.
I'll teleport back over here and I'll just go and ping this one on the way. So, all right. Unfortunately, as far as the rest of the gaming industry, there's not a whole lot going on because everything's kind of on fire at the moment.
Yeah, and deservedly so in most cases.
Yeah, most people have been.
Discord is furiously attempting to shill Diablo 4 to me at the moment.
Yeah, although I've heard tell that they've apparently fixed a lot of the issues with Diablo 4.
Yeah,
There
but
shouldn't have
but
been an
we've
issue in
seen
the
this
first
before,
place.
right? Like, remember, they fixed Diablo 3 as well, and then they killed the project immediately after releasing an outrageously successful expansion.
Yes.
Yeah,
So they fixed the problem and then they lost interest in it immediately.
Yeah, they fixed
Well,
it.
the thing is, it was one of those math questions, right? It's like, well, you spent all of these resources fixing your White Elephant project, and you could have spent all of that on a project that was already profitable. Why didn't you? Those sorts of money men questions always end up being the problem.
Sadly, the money men make all the decisions at the moment. Oh, I can cheat. Whee!
You can cheat. Not you really need to. And Sumeru is where they kind of stop the random, blatantly unfair puzzles. The last one is one of the last
The
one
waterfall one in Inazuma.
Yeah,
My goodness.
That one is the last. Really, just this is not fair. Like the game controls.
Most of that is interface problems, really. Like the fact that you can't really target the hookshot points.
Yeah, you have to try and time it appropriately.
The fact that you need to have your electro flower power in order to do it as well is kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's a. They're most of them aren't kind of whatever, not that bad. They're livable with. But there's one in particular that is incredibly tight on the timing and has like 50 points in like a grid pattern in the middle of a lake with collect the particles scattered all over and around them and above it. And it's just impossible to time it correct. You basically just have to grab a Electrograna and just mash and hope for the best.
Yeah, I found a couple of those collector particles in Azuma already, where if you follow the hook shots, you've got to double back.
Yeah, this is more like a pachinko machine, except in reverse.
Ew.
Maybe that's what they were going for.
Maybe. I'm not going to get any of the Culises while I'm here.
But either way, it is.
Get why we came to the statue of the 7.
Oh, I mean, we got to leave this game to touch statue.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because I
did,
don't like otherwise.
Because we can't see anything on the map currently. It's just a black spot.
Here, I will. We can. That's the feedback button. Go up button.
Oh, I can just hit the punt button.
Yep. Okay, you can touch your statue. But yeah, and the Western game industry imploding. We have all been anticipating this for a while. I'd say most rational and reasonable people have been, and it's about time
The
because
writing's been on the wall for quite some
I
time.
just feel like that there's not going to be any lessons learned. Like, I don't think that anybody at Ubisoft recognizes that the reason their company's about to disintegrate is because they make shite.
yeah,
I don't think that they perceive this. I really don't.
Well, you had that commentary about from Bethesda the other day, talking about the feedback they received on their Starfield expansion, where the feedback was basically it's kind of bad.
I'm surprised that enough people bought it that they can get feedback.
yeah.
Yeah.
I legit didn't know there was one until I saw it at the top of the
So-
Steam list one day.
Essentially, it was a whole bunch of we've made the most deepest, grandest, most ambitious RPG to date. You know, standing there filleting himself. So, yeah. The fact that
That is
nobody
bad.
at Bethesda really acknowledges that they have an issue with the fact that Starfield is boring and empty and shallow
It has a terrible UI.
and has a terrible UI.
You have to like the biggest reason I didn't even give that game a shot is because an hour into it I couldn't stand.
Yeah, I can live with terrible UIs because I play a lot of Bethesda games. I'm kind of used to how they think.
Well, that game also didn't have the creator kit and the proper mod tools out yet, so the mods were jank to install, and any Steam auto patch would bork the game.
Yep.
But you couldn't not auto patch because so much of the game was bork that the fix patch for the game couldn't fix everything.
Yeah. And the main story for Starfield, like, I know people pee on the Fallout 4 story, and rightly so in a lot of cases, because it's basically, roar, baby, roar. But the Starfield story is literally, go get this MacGuffin. Now go get this MacGuffin. Now go get this MacGuffin. It's the same MacGuffin. Go get another one.
Yeah.
And they do that like 10 times. And then here's these aliens, except they're not aliens. They're humans. And also boring.
It's deep, bruh. It's so deep.
Yeah. Also, your mining laser you pick up at the start of the game, you build for heavy weapons. Guess what? That's the best weapon in the game now.
Yeah, I do remember. I remember seeing a couple of like HoloLivers playing the early stages, and it's like that laser that they picked up seems like it's just going to be really effective going forward if they continue to use it.
It has infinite ammo. It does solid damage. Its only downside is it's got short range.
Use pyro on these things, friend.
Yeah.
Oh, on these things.
Oh no, it's still ticking away. It's okay.
That is the sound I imagine Bennett makes when he attacks. Yes.
Just.
I have to keep the sound muted because I don't want us to get copyright struck.
He's not far off, but yeah. Oh, is there still one more?
Oh, it's just got.
Oh no.
There it goes.
Ah, my camera. Why? Oh, do something. Oh, that's the downside from Kinnick is if he's tether locks onto something. Well, yes, also yes.
Because that was what was going on my screen at that point in time. Is that it was just like Azure burbling and burbling and burbling.
While he's out, he is constantly spewing profanities. It's kind of impressive. But yeah, if his tether snags onto a box or something, you can't. What did you do to that yak?
I played some sick beats.
Dropped lots of meat. But yeah, if you're stuck on something, you just can't change where your tether is. So you're going to spin in circles around a box. Pretty.
You will be here in 1.5 zones.
But I don't want to do the zone I'm in.
Gotta
It's not very good.
choke it down.
Yeah.
Don't smell the flowers. Don't go do the side quests. Just choke Inazuma down.
it's not well. I'm not gonna say it's not good because it's not particularly good, but compared to some other stuff that's out there, it's all right.
Kill the sand people.
I don't know why they're fighting any of these people, but that's fine. I'll get context later.
Oh no, you won't. Well, you will actually, kind of, for these people.
These are just random mercs, basically. It's like an entire culture of random mercs.
Kind of like the treasure hoarders who are just kind of there to be jerks.
Well, no, the treasure hoarders are actually there to loot everything. These guys are just like they're sort of desert nomads who just hire themselves out as muscle when they're in Sumeru's more built-up areas.
Fair enough then.
They're Deus people.
Now, how do we get into here?
Oh, I'm in there. There's, from what I can tell, there's nothing in here.
Looks like there should be a treasure chest in there at least.
I'm about that. Sure about that.
There's a shiny on a box over there, but that seems to be a bit okay.
Entrance.
That's probably a book.
There's an entrance down here.
No, it's underneath.
Not that there's any reason to do so.
Ladder inside. One thing I do like about Zalonin is her wall sit idle animation. Got the rollerblades on. I think that's cute.
But it doesn't stop you consuming Night Soul.
No, it will eventually run out, and she will have to turn around and go, "Oh, can't do this anymore." Grab the
Fall
wall.
off.
No, she grabs the wall.
Okay.
You just go back to using stamina instead of Night Soul.
Yay! All of that effort to get in here for a wheat.
Yeah, it looks like that you could bust that skylight or something. I don't guess.
Nah,
Yo, wheaties.
there's a hole up there, but that's about it.
So yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we're not going to see any individuals learn from this. The only hope is that some investors start getting a clue. And
yeah, which there's a lot of rumblings from inside Ubisoft that might be happening, but it's also equal parts like try to course correct the company and do a power grab.
Well, the shareholders of Ubisoft themselves, for instance, they don't think that it should be publicly traded to begin with.
No.
oh, now there's something inside of here after you started that quest.
Oh, okay. I assume I'm going to come in and get it. Ah, dudes. Yeah, we'll see what happens. We got the Game Awards coming up at the end of the year and things like that. So I think it's going to be fairly interesting to see how things shake out then.
You mean who still has enough money left to pay Jeff?
Yes. And more importantly, who actually just shows up in the first place. But yeah, at this point, there's a lot of projects in the works which are going to flop. But at this point, the only way to go is forward. So
Yeah, well, I mean, they put a massive delay on whatchamacallit, didn't they?
till February at the earliest for Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, what are they going to do? Are they going to replace the main character? Because that's what it's going to take.
Well, that seems to be what the people are talking about. Is yes, there apparently was originally a Japanese samurai as the main character, and they're going to put him in or put him back.
I mean, I expect that they did nothing to adapt the story as it was, so it probably wouldn't hurt them any.
Yeah, quite possibly. What am I supposed
Because
to do with
you
this
know,
now?
their entire ethos is predicated on people are interchangeable except when you should be giving them reparations.
Yes,
Maybe you have to put,
interchangeable up until the point where they're not.
put the one you have in the notch first.
There we go. Got it.
I don't know why you guys didn't pick it up. I just went in there and picked it up.
I couldn't push it. I walked on it, was trying to push the B button.
Well, let me
Yeah,
pick
it's
it
being
up.
weird.
I don't know what you guys would do. I don't know why it likes me. I'm not the one who's hosting this. Oh, be quiet, Ajor.
I gotta shoot the switch, apparently. All right. Are we good? Is that it? It's another round. Another round.
Rollerblade.
Oh. Just leave the switch alone, you can each.
All that for an exquisite.
Yay! It's all right. I need the purple experiences.
Yeah.
Since I've ascending a whole bunch of characters, I'm going to chew through those like candy.
Yeah, this should help you get a head start, like getting caught up to this world level. I would
Yeah.
once you hit the next world level, we'll help you. We can help you farm some artifacts. You might want to get a placeholder set of just any stats at all, and put
Mhm.
like 4 levels into them, and just stick them on whoever, and not care
Yeah,
about if the stats are appropriate or not.
Once I get to a point where I can actually start getting the 5-star drops, I'll just go and farm those for a while before I push the world forward.
Oh, I'm saying put purples if you can.
Yeah.
Like, go get a few purples of the appropriate set, even if the stats are like HP on a character that needs attack, and just
Yeah.
slap it on there and give them like 4 levels on it.
At least the set bonus carries over between.
Purples.
Yeah.
But your life experience will be so much better in this game if you don't gimp yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause
All right, I got enough primos to do a 10 pull on Shalonen, so let's see what I actually get.
Oh,
I wasn't actually going to pull on her at all, but she's kind of too good to not pull on. All right, let's see what we get. Is it Golden Blow? No, it's purple.
disappointment.
unfortunately,
It is
gonna be
Calais.
Calais. That's the least bad of the ones, I think. Who's all on her banner? Her banner does not have good care.
Dory,
Dory, and Dory.
Yeah. Dory and
What you pull,
Candace.
it's Dory all day.
I did not pull a single Candace.
I don't think. I got a couple, I think.
All right. Well, now I have a Dendro Archer.
You would have got her for free anyway, unfortunately.
I mainly pulled Dory.
Yeah. I have a hate on for Dory pretty hard after the last Chiori banner.
So now you just got a whole bunch more Dories.
Dory was on that banner with I don't know who else and Goro. Doesn't matter.
Don't you have like C14 Dory now?
Yeah. Every single 4-star character I got on my double hard pity failure on getting Chiori the last time she was around. I got her in the end, but it took everything I had. And every single 4-star character was Dory. Every single one. And I actually
a lot of Dories.
I actually wanted a Goro. Like Goro as a booby prize for having to go hard pity, and get him some constellation would have been really good. Really, really good if I could have got him to C6. I could have used him on the Geo team. I didn't get a single Goro. I didn't get a Goro until the freaking Rock Band DJ Max event with Ito and Paimon, where you got a copy for free. So yeah, that's I have a hate on for Dory quite bad.
Dory loves you.
He's also terrible.
Yes.
Contender for worst in the game.
All right, we should probably wrap up.
Yep, there's nothing else really going on. You got anything else for us in the settle? I got the hiccups now.
I want to get through Inazuma as quickly as possible, so next week, hopefully, we'll be running around Sumeru properly.
Teasing the edge a little bit.
But have you been on a date with Ayaka and Yoimiya yet?
I've been on a date with Ayaka, and Yoimiya is involving blowing up yokai, which I suppose in her case would count as a date.
Right, because it's a ridiculous pace killer for the entire thing for no reason.
It was like everything's kind of building up, and it's no stop. You're going to do a rather bland side quest with Aiko or whatever her name was.
It's because literally the state of the nation is going to change twice, and those two quests do not make sense unless you're at the state you're at, so they force you to do them now.
Right.
And it's a really dumb decision, and they never do it again.
Good.
As a result, the meme status of Ayaka is of the jealous yandere girl, who every time typically male traveler spends any time in close proximity to a female, she is in the distance watching through a telescope and seething.
She
Also-
was pretty clingy towards the end of that quest.
Also, wet socks.
Also, wet socks.
Oh yes, that was my immediate thought as well.
Yeah, I think I said it out loud because I was doing the quest on Discord. I think you and Ibu were there, and I don't know what the fudge we were talking about, but I saw her get in the freaking water with her wet socks and just started spurging about it because it was so triggering seeing wet socks.
Yeah, and she does this whole dance sequence in the river with her socks on.
Y'all are like, what are you what are you talking about?
So I saw it, and that would have been a nice little sequence if it wasn't
Wet socks?
getting in the way of also wet socks, but getting in the way of the rest of the game.
Yeah. Yoimi is less datey, can work with Lumine better. I don't think they remembered you can play as a girl for the Ayaka quest.
Yeah, that one would be kind of weird to do it as Lumine. It works with Aether, but yeah.
It's just kind of a bit weird. Like you feel like a third wheel to a person that's not there.
Yeah. But with Yoimiya, it's just two girls hanging out.
Yeah.
Go to the festival, see the fireworks. Okay, cool. We can do that. That one makes more sense.
Let's go blow something up.
But yeah. So once you're past that hump, you will be on your way off of the first island. And as soon as you get through with the initial bits at the rebel camp, you are off to the races. The Inazuma story is going to break into a sprint, and you will be done before you know it.
Oh, good. But first, I got to hit that infamous black screen.
Yes, it will come pretty quickly after you get to the rebel camp.
I mean, it's up to you whether or not you go all in on it, but basically Inazuma's story, most of it is tied up in the character stories for Raiden Shogun.
Yeah.
So you could stop and do those after you've done the Inazuma story, and then things might start to come together a little bit, because in isolation the Inazuma story basically just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I would take a diversion to do the Raiden Shogun quests for the simple fact that a ton of story quests are locked behind finishing Raiden Shogun's quests. Like the game just straight up won't let you do a whole bunch of story quests until you finish Raiden Shogun's quests.
Okay, so that'll be worth doing then.
Yeah, because
it's basically establishes the political disposition of Inazuma versus the rest of the world.
Yeah, it basically, it should be obvious from the context, but Inazuma is an isolationist nation until the end of the Raiden Shogun story quests.
Oh, that's not part of the main story quest that they changed that policy.
No, it's not. For some reason.
No. In fact, there's going to be a whole lot of things in the Raiden Shogun story quest you're going to be like, why wasn't this in the main story? In fact, throughout a lot of the Inazuma character quests, you're going to be like, why wasn't this in the main story?
There are very few characters that have two chapters to their character story. All called chapter 1, but very few characters have two chapters. Raiden Shogun is one of those two chapters, and I think it's because they just basically piled in bits and pieces of story that was supposed to be in the main plot. And that's why she's got so much. Like, you can sort of see explanations for the others as well. Like, Yoimiya has two of them. One of them is locked behind the Aranara quest, so I have no idea what's in there, but I presume the reason she has a second story is probably because her first story is that weird date sequence.
Yep.
That was sort of, like, forced on you. Sino also has a second chapter, I'm not really sure why.
Because they don't want to give a 4-star story quest, is my thinking anymore after Mondstadt and Liyue. Because it's the new Sumeru character they added randomly. It starts with an S.
Sethos, or whatever his name is?
It is basically his character story. He shares just as much importance in it as Sino does, except for the beginning where you go camping and Sino challenges the group to duel monsters.
Yeah. Because Sino.
Yeah, and Kale runs away because she don't want to get roped into this. You think she's going to get like kidnapped or something, and this is going to be like, oh, she's separated from the party while we're out camping. No, she was just running away to get away from Sino. He's that much of a tool when it comes to pushing people to play Yu-Gi-Oh.
Yeah.
So,
anywho, Yeah,
So-
let's wrap it up.
Okay. All right, folks. We will see you next week. Hopefully, Fern will be past Inazuma, and we can actually talk about Genshin moving upwards for him, and we'll all be past Inazuma.
Yay.
All right. We will see you next time, folks. Sayonara.